Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered to induct the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. When I think about the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, truly, he has been a headline that has blazed his own trail over the past 6 years. It has taken him to promotion after promotion, which has now given him 17, that's right, 17 World Heavyweight Championships, nearly 20 Hardcore Championships, plus many other championships and many other promotions. Our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, in many ways, is similar, but yet so different than so many in the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit who are in our Hall of Fame. And here's a few reasons why. When we think about our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, to the fact that he's only 19 years old and started this journey at 13, it made me think. It made me think about when I was 13 years old and what exactly I was doing or what exactly I was thinking about when our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame was going out and setting his sights on places, setting his sights on traveling to compete with some of the very best, some of the biggest who have been in prime time, the brightest lights, and the only stage where all wrestling matters. I was 13 years old figuring out, well, could I go to the schoolyard maybe, I don't know, 5.5 blocks away from my house? And that felt such a journey for me because I was so used to playing on the block that I grew up in and the many other sports recreationally. And that was almost my journey, my destination. But yet, Aaron Blaze, when he was thinking about at 13 years old, he was thinking about bus rides. He was thinking about places he could go to, places he could wrestle, which has led him to some of the biggest places in the backyard wrestling circuit. In addition to starting his own company, YBW, a company that has generated over 300,000 views. You know, we often talk about some of these companies who have been here and have had these big stars and they have these rings and they have these setups where guys from all over the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit have tested their skills, but yet with no ring, no real, any major star from anywhere or all hype, YBW has gone on to garner 1,330 plus subscribers. Not too bad for a headline with a couple of other people who went out there with no ring, no nothing, and went out there and blazed their own trails. As a matter of fact, those 1,300 plus subscribers are more subscribers than, with all due respect, some companies that come on this platform regularly. Resurrection Wrestling, WCE. I mean, WCE practically lives on Sportswire. CBW, yes, CBW. Let's not even go there too much to talk about CBW. Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And even a company that, well, almost barely has about 200 more subs than, well, Aaron Blaze's company, despite, I don't know, being around longer than Aaron Blaze has been alive in XCW. There are other companies, FBW, and maybe we'll remember and go back and talk about Blazing with the Blaze or Bashing with the Blaze, whatever he wanted to call it. Maybe we'll say Bashing with the Blaze just really because that was really what the podcast was. But there are many companies that have come onto this platform, and yet it's YBW that's blazed the trail for the likes of our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and Dominic, and ATK, and Waldemar, just a whole slew of other people that have gotten a chance to be able to be seen in other places. But the facts are, ladies and gentlemen, the headline Aaron Blaze has gotten the chance to wrestle some of the most important people or confront some of the most important people in the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit, such as the likes of Chris Jones, Radio Hall of Famer, XCW Hall of Famer, The likes of Division Nick. Remember that last year? Pre-show Summermania? Division Nick, after all the things that was said there, and they had that match. They had that match. How about Miano Diaz? Yes, Miano Diaz and
The
Aaron Blaze
sauce.
had a match. They had one, and look where Miano Diaz went after that, and maybe that's a credit to Aaron Blaze being a headline. How about the likes of, I don't know, Jake Howell, the headshot Jake? Oh, we'll get into him tonight. I'm sure a lot of people really want me to talk about him, but definitely one of those people that he's had some wars with. How about Jason Storm? Is he calling everybody parasite still? He's not the wild card anymore? He's a cyclone. He's had a couple of wars with him. Jacob Collins, that name ring a bell? Jacob Collins. I mean, big man can't opinion of him, but I'll get to him certainly for sure. Other people that he's had wars and confrontations with. How about this guy, Kurt Adams? Boy, how long were those guys talking on social media? What was it, 2-3 years? And all the stuff that went down with that. How about another guy that right now is a huge topic in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit? Dalton Skull. Aaron Blaze certainly had his own headline moment when he won that BYCW Heavyweight Championship of the World. 1,500 plus views since have watched that match and over 30 plus likes on YouTube. How about some other wars that Aaron Blaze has had? C Money recently. How about one that'll even go a little bit down the memory lane? Atomic Titan. Yes, that's right.
Oh, the best.
The Atomic Titan. I mean, what else, what name is he now? He's not the Hardcore King. He's not the Hardcore Demon King anymore. He's got a new name. Maybe, maybe not. We won't get into that. But yes, Aaron Blaze had a war with him. How about one of my recent guests, Brett Anderson? Brett Anderson just had a war with Aaron Blaze, up-and-coming talent. Mikey Reedy? Well, I don't know if Mikey Reedy's in the same class yet as those guys, but he had a war with him. I mean, what was supposed to have been... What was supposed to have been with Tommy the Man Merriman? It was supposed to have been there with that. And I mean, there's a lot of people that Aaron Blaze has had wars with. Maybe the most amount of wars he's had somebody with is, I suppose, ATK. Well, I'll reserve some things to say on that. And I brought up Jacob Collins, certainly in multiple places. And Jay Ellis, well, he was supposed to have been in the Hall of Fame and didn't show up to his own ceremony. Boy, I wouldn't want to be Jay Ellis and not show up to your own funeral. But I don't think you get a choice with that. I don't think you get a choice there with that. But then there's obviously one match that, in many ways, is the match that a lot of people for a long time wanted to see. And that's, even though he referred to him once upon a time as the self-destructive Jack Delta, it was the outsider, Jack Delta, and the headline, Aaron Blaze, that, in my opinion, for my money on Sportswire Radio, that was the feud of the year, maybe the feud of the decade in backyard and underground wrestling. And it's certainly going to be a match of the year candidate, although Copper Dragon rated it, but he didn't quite rate it a 7, but it was close enough. And Copper Dragon's been a supporter of mine, and I don't think I'm going to go down that road and question Mr. Dragon on his score, but 6.5 still pretty good, right? But the facts are is that we got a chance to see, ladies and gentlemen, the match that the world was waiting for, the match that everybody wanted to see, and we got that chance. And we got that chance because Aaron Blaze has blazed his own trail, taking chances. Whether it's been in places like OMW, SVBW, CCW currently, we'll get to that. ROEW, I certainly mentioned that. UAW, he was a world champion there. He's the current UWA Heritage Champion. Even a company that I actually technically own 1/3 of, the PWF. Yes, Aaron Blaze was a part of the PWF. And we talk about Jack Delta being in the PWF, but Aaron Blaze was a big part of the PWF in history. And we think about other places, CBW, not to be confused with DBW, as I like to say. And yes, XCW, he was a part of. BYCW. BYCW is going on to have a lot of success, and a lot of people appreciate the work and the grind that BYCW has gotten. And yes, those 3 initials, XCW, Aaron Blaze was a part of that. But really, Aaron Blaze's home is YBW. Aaron Blaze doesn't get enough credit for his own company, and Aaron Blaze doesn't get enough credit for what he's done in helping guys in his company get an opportunity to be seen when they don't have the same tools, they don't have the same resources. Like some of those big companies that Aaron Blaze has been a part of, like XCW, like UWA or CBW, those guys, because of Aaron Blaze, got a chance to be seen, got a chance to be heard. A lot of people talk about Aaron Blaze and they remember the feuds on social media. They talk about him traveling. They talk about the personality. Talk about the backyard wrestling nexus. They talk about all these different things. But the truth is, Aaron Blaze, in many ways, kind of like Anthony Steele, doesn't get enough credit for the fact that he's given other people an opportunity to be seen and heard because he was selfless, ladies and gentlemen. He was selfless in going out there and creating something when he didn't have his own home. He didn't have a place he could truly call his own like others that might have the resources, that might have the friends, the connections, all those big things. It didn't stop Aaron Blaze. Aaron Blaze had a dream. Aaron Blaze wanted to be a wrestler in some form or another. Aaron Blaze wanted to blaze his own trail. And that's why Aaron Blaze is going to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame when I finish to speak and induct Mr. Blaze and say a few words. Because when we think about the Mount Rushmore in backyard wrestling, sure, everybody has their own names they want to throw out there. Mr. Judgment. Is he still a world champion last I checked? I mean, probably. He'll be world champion until he's 50. Is he 50 yet or is he 40? That's not a joke. It's not a shade. That's just how it goes. That's a good question. Ledger Shade, who's been here on Sportswire Radio. Obviously, the magnitude of what he did speaks volumes, but there are those that have their opinions on that. Guys like Craven Rage. Let's not go there tonight. We're not going to go down that road. Other guys like Gage Flair, the Nature Boy, Austin G. Well, you really want to talk about guys that would be in their own league, be in their own egomaniac, basically, Hall of Fame. That would be Austin G. Yes, that's a shade, ladies and gentlemen. Shade like, well, Ledger Shade would throw one in the ring. Osiris, who's been here. Obviously, Osiris definitely up there with the way. Definitely, you might want to throw names out there like James Taylor. Aaron Blaze is, I guess, still a boss in ROBW. And what about guys like Jackson Law, another traveler that Jackson Law has traveled, and there are people that would throw him in there. Chris Jones, Corey Lee. People would throw him in there in the Mount Rushmore. Atomic Titan, who the headline Aaron Blaze as well wrestled. There are some people that feel he should be in there. There are people that would say a list of a whole lot of other names. Joshua Allen for what he did with TBW. Sean Jovi in his new run, in his run that goes back to ICW. Do you throw him in the conversation? What about guys now like Yoshi Matsuda? What about him? What about guys like Comatose, RJS, Navon McDonald? I mean, there's a lot of people. How about this guy who used to be Corey Graves, Silas Walker, Chase Wakefield, Dvorak? I can go on and on and on. D'Angelo LaFlame now, Anthony Steele, Justin Parsley. Get the picture? But the facts are is that Aaron Blaze, in whatever Mount Rushmore, whatever milestone you want to throw out there, Aaron Blaze has earned the right to be in that discussion alongside a Jack Delta, alongside a Ledger Shade, alongside of anybody else you want to throw out there in a Mount Rushmore, in the backyard and underground wrestling circuit's history. Copper Dragon, obviously Copper Dragon has to be on a Mount Rushmore because of everything he's done for our sport, everything he's done for our community. But after that, it's subjective. But it's not subjective, ladies and gentlemen, that Aaron Blaze deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. Aaron Blaze went there to the company after company he chose to go. And he did it despite what people would say. Oh, he wanted a belt. Oh, he wanted to get booked a certain way. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Aaron Blaze is absolutely right to go somewhere and want to be seen in the best light. because that not only helps Aaron Blaze, but it helps the company that's chosen and decided to want Aaron Blaze for their promotion. So, wouldn't you, as a promoter, want it in your best interest to make Aaron Blaze look the way he wants to be a headline? Clearly, ROEW got it. Clearly, UWA has gotten it. BYCW has gotten it. And if you're anybody else out there, I'll definitely get it. Aaron Blaze deserves to be that person, and he's earned it. He's traveled on Greyhounds for hours upon hours, away from his family, away from a situation that most people would have been afraid to leave. They would have never wanted to go out there and make that sacrifice, make that commitment, because of just all the things they face. Aaron Blaze is a young man that's faced a lot in his life. Yes, he's traveled, but he's done it without sunshine and rainbows. Let's just put it out there. But he did it because he wants to be somebody to remember for a long time. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is a Hall of Fame in many ways similar to what the Basketball Hall of Fame is in Springfield, Massachusetts. The Hockey Hall of Fame is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. The Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. The Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has become something for those in the backyard, the underground, the independent, and whatever else wrestling circuit you want to call it. All wrestling matters. And the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Blaze has been at the forefront of the All Wrestling Matters movement, well, since he was 13 years old. And why is that number important? Because that's when he started his journey. That's led him to over 40 plus championships, countless promotions, and now owning 2 promotions. I'll get to that, and putting himself out there to give more people opportunities, more people to have a chance in their say. And that's what this sport is about. You know, Hillbilly Tilly has a line, who was our general manager in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And he says, true yarders do it for the love of this sport. They go out there and put their blood, sweat, and tears out there. There's no question that Aaron Blaze has done that. But he's also done that with issues at home, whether it's shelter, whether it's relationship, whether it's family, whether it's all the things that an average person doesn't have to go through. Aaron Blaze, despite those obstacles, despite those, has gone out there and has still made the journey. And he's made that journey a headline. And he's blazed his own trail. And he's blazed that trail not only on top of the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit, but he's now blazed that trail as a Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. Before I induct officially Aaron Blaze into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, I often think to myself, when we're here every time and we do this speech to induct somebody else and somebody different or whoever it might be, and the facts is that everybody that's here is here for a reason. They're here because they care. They're here because of a quote that I'm reminded of famously. And it was actually a quote said by Gabe Sayers. And it's that wrestling is a beautiful art form. Backyard wrestlers get sometimes shitted on and often get hated and disrespected. But the truth is, Aaron Blaze, he's felt that, he's dealt with that, but he's kept wrestling, he's kept working to where he wants to go. And whether it's heart or no heart, he's always ready to kick some ass. And that is definitely no better way to kind of signify Aaron Blaze and why he is the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and why he's going to have actually had my longest speech of the prior 85 members, now 86. It is Aaron Blaze who has received the longest speech. And why is that important? Well, he'll get the usual intro. He'll get all of that. But his travel might have been, figuratively and literally, the longest yard of anybody that's traveled into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Maybe even more so than Jack Delta. Certainly more so than D'Angelo LaFlamin. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, as I always think about the words when I get ready for it, I use the words of a famous state senator that I had done some work for in campaigns, and he would always end his speech off with the words, I can go on and on and on. And I've gone on and on and on. But it's now time to officially induct the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our 86th member, and our first 17-time world champion in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our sixth member of our ninth class, the headline, Aaron Blaise. But Aaron Blaise, before I do that, before I officially induct you into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, I know you have been here on multiple occasions, but it is time to give you that Hall of Fame-like introduction of people you've shared a locker room with have received, such as Chris Jones, such as Justin Parsley, the only four-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, Jackson Law, yes, the Jackson Law, Jason Storm, a man you have quite a history with the shoe. Let's not even go there again with that. We won't even go there with that. Also, the good guy, CJ Black, your former employer, Joshua Fletcher. I'll just say no comment on him. We'll certainly go no comment on him. James Taylor, I guess your current employer. I mean, he's obviously in the Hall of Fame, but obviously James, I love James dearly, so you know I'll have certainly affinity for him. Omen Black and Soldier GP, they're in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. You technically shared a locker room with them or whatever it was in the St. Paul's gym, and a slew of other people. Julian Voigt Jacobs have gotten this induction speech, and so many others. It's time to give you, though, that same one. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now officially my great honor to induct the 86th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, sixth member of our ninth class, first 17-time world champion in history, and the man that has received the longest speech in Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame history. And before we do that, you know it, I know it, you know what the world is about to receive. It's time to give you that introduction that, well, Ashley D couldn't quite give, and even though she's in the Hall of Fame, and now Trey Mysticality's trying to do it, and whoever else in ROEW tries to do it, Joshua Allen, there's nobody that can do it better than me, not even Michael Buffer or not even Bruce Buffer. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in introducing Aaron Blaise into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one. Sports Show, the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our 86th member, sixth member of our ninth class. He's the reigning, defending Chaos Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion and the reigning, defending UWA Heritage Champion. His name is simply put, champ is here. Congratulations, my friend. You're the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. That was a lot. That was a lot. I appreciate it. This is one of the biggest things that I've ever accomplished, and especially lately with the stuff you and I talk about. So this really means a lot.
Well, you
Yeah.
definitely deserve it. It's definitely long overdue. There's no question whether people like or people do not like whatever you want to say on Aaron Blaze. There's no question you deserve to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame alongside so many of your peers in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. There are some guys that honestly that are in this Hall of Fame that they probably shouldn't be in a Hall of Fame, just like WWE has Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame and The Godfather in the Hall of Fame. And you'd probably say that those aren't Hall of Famers, but you definitely are long overdue. You deserve to be in
Thank you.
there with some of those names on the Mount Rushmore. Whatever you want to decide or determine on who should be in the Mount Rushmore, there's no question you are definitely there because of everything that you've done for this sport. And I'm going to ask you the question that I always do to start these things off. I know there's a lot to talk about tonight. We will definitely get into that. But for those that are listening and watching here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling
Yes.
matters, Sportswire Radio, where we had our own Olympic-like ceremony tonight for you, Aaron Blaze. What does it mean to you now to be a Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer?
Means a lot. We've been talking for a while about how everyone does their part, everyone really puts in the effort, makes the sacrifices to be in the Mount Rushmores and be with the elites of the elites. And there's not much Hall of Fame based stuff in the community that's really something that sticks. Like there's Hall of Fames here with like, the Nexus and whatever. But like this is one of very few platforms where all of us kind of can be a true unit to where if you are a Hall of Famer, whether it's one, two, three, or four times like Parsley, it
He wants
actually
to be
holds
17, by the way, Parsley. He's actually.
Jesus. He it actually holds weight and it actually holds value. I believe like if you are in the Hall of Fame, then you really do matter in this community. Not that I'm saying people who aren't in it don't, but I'm just saying I think the people that are in the Hall of Fame are the ones that wanted it a bit more. That just want this community
Yeah,
to
I
grow a bit
think
more.
that, listen, I think there are some people that are in the Hall of Fame because they were fans of the platform. They listened to it. C2K and Skulls are obviously the two names that people would look at and say, are those guys really Hall of Famers? And,
Yeah.
the answer is probably not. But, they were fans of the platform. They have had some level of competing. It's obviously, I'm sure, subjectively they're not getting 7-star matches by Copper Dragon, but they're in the Hall of Fame. And there are people that I think it does matter to. I think, look, I'm going to be honest, Fletch doesn't care much about the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame because he has his own Hall of Fame. The Nexus
Which
has their own Hall of Fame. And not to go into it, TBW has a Hall of Fame, but I will say TBW has been
understand.
a great friend to Sportswire. They have been, I can't say enough about the relationship with TBW. I know people fall on different sides of the coin with TBW. I have people in the chat every night that hate TBW and people that love it. And there are people here in different places that it means a lot. Sean Jovi's a guy, his career has been rejuvenated. He was a guy years ago, part of the GBYWN. He was kind of on the lower end of the totem pole. He's been reborn. I think when you look at, then there are guys like James Taylor who are obviously, like you, a no-brainer because of his success, maybe inside the yard, but outside the yard. He's revered outside the yard for what he does on TikTok and YouTube. Obviously, Mr. Delta, Steel, Law, whatever you fall on the side of the coin with Law. There's a lot of other guys. Titan, obviously, Joshua Allen, I mentioned. Judgment. Again, if you look at things objectively based on statistics, there are guys that deserve to be here and guys that are here because they're here. And there's others that, I think that it's for whatever different reasons. And, I think that what's important about this Hall of Fame, and I'm glad you said it, is that it is about all wrestling matters. It isn't just an XCW Hall of Fame. It isn't just a TBW Hall of Fame, or BTW has their own Hall of Fame and Nexus has their own Hall of Fame. God bless all of them. I think everybody should have a Hall of Fame, but I think with this one is different because I'm not a wrestling fed. I have people in the Hall of Fame that played in the NCAA Final Four. I have people that are in the Hall of Fame that were podcasters. They were reporters. They were people that were athletically competitive. I have coaches in the Hall of Fame. And I think that that's why this Hall of Fame, to me, has had this success. We also have British wrestlers. Dean Allmark wrestled in TNA. R.P. Davis, the only person in the entire country of the UK who's a major boxing world champion and a wrestling world champion. Bentley held two major independent world titles in the UK. He's coming back on the Tribal Cheese, kind of like James Taylor, but the UK version of James Taylor. I mean, there are some really important names, not just in backyard and underground wrestling, that make this Hall of Fame important. I think that that's why this Hall of Fame has stood and it's done what it should have done, because I want to say one more thing. With all due respect to the XCW Hall of Fame and the Nexus Hall of Fame, those things are great. I'm not taking anything away from them, but they're Hall of Fames only within those two things. They're going to have also a biased, whether you agree or not, a biased Hall of Fame. This one is from everybody. There could be Nexus members in it. Obviously, you've been in the Nexus. There's XCW Hall of Famers here. So I think that this Hall of Fame blends, like you said, everything into it. And I think that this is something that the community really hadn't had in BYW. Somebody that I come from British independent wrestling to start. And the British independent wrestling scene, as I was speaking with one wrestler who I shall name nameless, was telling me today that the British independent wrestling scene is like dead right now because they don't have all the things we talk about in BYW about toxicity and we're all not on the same page. He was telling me that actually from afar, from an outside perspective, the BYW community has much more of an inclusive community, and he felt had much more of a following and a togetherness than in the independent wrestling scene. So there you have it. Bet you didn't expect that one. Bet you didn't expect to hear that.
That doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't, but that's why I think you deserve to be here. I think that you've obviously done a lot for us. You've done a lot for this circuit. You've traveled, and I think that you deserve to be here. Obviously, I want to present to you something because you've obviously earned it, and there's a bunch of things that I'd like to be able to do. So before I do that here, also, I want to say hello to everybody. And if you're out there on YouTube, go hit the sub button for me because I am almost at 1,000 subs. And guys like Aaron Blaze will get a chance to roast me live on Sportswire once I hit the 1,000 subs. A lot of people I actually have people on Instagram sharing the shows now and sharing them. I have people messaging me around the world saying how much they want me to get to 1,000 subs, which is crazy because I get 100 subs last year. At this time, I was at like 310. But let me present to you. So it's not about me. It's about you, Aaron Blaze, for all the things you've done for us. And congratulations, my friend. You were the 86th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. You were obviously going to get this when we're off the I actually have to get your email because I owe you last month's certificates. You have to send me your email address.
I'll resend it.
Yes, please do. And this is my John Hancock. This is today's date. This is the logo. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's really cool. I'm going to get that hung on my new room, immediately as soon as I get a chance to print it off.
Well, Sean Jovi's got all of his printed. Justin Parsley has used one or two of them in a storyline. I've seen
nice.
Van Hansen has got his printed. Some guys do have them printed. There are some guys that have them printed, and which is great. I appreciate all of that. So we'll keep that up for a few minutes. Let me get to some comments. I know there's some people that would like to say hello. Let me get to them, and then we'll come back to some current events. Zilla got the usual comments. Yes, Zilla's in the house. Yes, Zilla's in the house. I want to actually give a big shout out to Mr. Darkron for the very nice shirt that he sent me about Summer Bash. I have something he sent me, which I'm going to read off in a little while, and I'm going to get to him because he's actually important. There's a reason I'm going to get to him in a little while because
I think I know where you're going with that. Yeah.
Yep. So you'll stay tuned for that. That'll be a fun one. My buddy, Mr. Jack Spade, of course, the icon Jack Spade of Resurrection Wrestling. Resurrection just had their show 2 weeks ago, Revenge Rumbled, and they just put out the Elevation show, episode 37, which just aired 2 days ago, which Anthony Steele was wrestling Xavier Thorne. Then in a different universe, that would have been a Resurrection employee versus a non-Resurrection employee, but it's Anthony Steele who's now on the Resurrection wrestling roster, and Xavier Thorne is no
Oh, he's
longer on the
back. That's
Resurrection
interesting.
wrestling roster. Yeah,
Wait, so
he's
both
back.
of them are back in Resurrection.
Actually, Thorne is out of Resurrection, but Steele is back in. But when they wrestled the match,
Well, that's good.
yes, yeah, the match, Steele had just come back, and Thorne was on the roster, and he had been there for a couple of months, and now he's out of Resi. And so that's just, you need a scorecard sometimes in BYW. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
Zilla, yes, hello. C Money, who had a few nice words yesterday on ROEW Faceoff. He's getting ready to face Darkron for the Prestige title. He left
Thanks,
it out there
everyone.
that he'd love to run it back with you. And C Money's been on a great
Ditto.
run. You've had you had a hell of a match with him. Another 6.9, 7.0 contender. Magnum Carter, definitely going to get to him out
Hey.
for the YBW hardcore title match. I know we'll talk about that, I'm sure. He says you should have hit ATK harder when I jumped him. He put the I there, but yes, I appreciate that. My buddy, Mr. Ox McCoy, who I know is going to be tuned in, and I think he's here Thursday night. I think Ox, you're here Thursday with us. I know tomorrow night in your chair is Isaiah Rage for the first time. Isaiah Rage, well, he's been here, but not in a solo spot. That's going to be like you a must watch. My buddy Ron Franklin, also from Pennsylvania. I don't know if you know Ron,
really?
but he's from Philadelphia. If he's still here, Ron was kind of an analyst on Sportswire doing wrestling, but he's not really an analyst, if that makes sense. But yes, I think Aaron Blaze is definitely on the Mount Rushmore, and I thank you, Magnum. I believe I did say that in my speech. Yes, I did. I did put it. Yes, I did put it. Yes, Sinners for Life. Tomorrow we talk about that. James Taylor, I know he'll be a topic. I think James is going to be here tomorrow at some point because James has got apparently a big ROEW announcement. Maybe it's about you. I don't know, but he's got a big ROEW announcement tomorrow that James is supposed to have. I know James is supposed to have CJ Black, the good guy, on a different type of show than you're expecting, but I don't know if that's taking place. James can tell me maybe, and I'll promote that in the chat as well. Hello there. Want to give a big shout out to Ashley D. Obviously, she was Trinity Parker once upon a time doing ring introductions in XCW. I know she's looking to do a podcast, and I think we spoke about it a couple times off the air, maybe once or twice, and I hope that comes to fruition and we can air it here on Sportswire Radio, our internet radio station. Who knows? You never know. Let me get to some more comments. I got a lot more comments here ahead. Yes, well-deserved. I couldn't agree more, Magnum, and I felt it was the right time to put Aaron Blaze in the Hall of Fame. He's definitely long overdue. I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, he definitely deserves it. And congratulations on becoming on the sport. Woo Riders DG from Northwest Florida, I believe, by Jacksonville. Northeast Florida, I stand corrected. Obviously, you can tell I'm not from Florida, even though most New Yorkers live in Florida these days. But I'm one of the few New Yorkers that doesn't live in Florida, even though I do have family now that lives in Florida. I actually have a hand. I do, but I haven't seen them in I don't know, 10 years, 10 years. So that probably means I ain't visiting them. No, nothing bad. They just, I have a cousin who's about 10 plus years older than me, maybe more than that. And he moved, but different conversation for a different time. He was actually a big wrestling fan. Yes. Well, you definitely deserved it. You were the first woman to be in the Hall of Fame. You were the first woman officially in our Sports by Radio Hall of Fame. She definitely deserved it. She's been one of our regulars, and I've always appreciated Trinity's work. And I feel that Trinity did not get enough, like a lot of people did not get enough due in XCW, because I'm not going to go into that right now. Yes, thank you very much for that. Want to say hello to the new LBYW champion, Mr. Napalm. And I don't know if I'm a saint, but I know, Napalm, you might not anymore be a saint because of what happened I saw with White Viper. I think we might be talking about that in the next few weeks. So hit me up on Instagram maybe after the show, and we can try to get you back on the show. I know I got to get a couple of LBYW guys here still. And thank you, Zilla, for that. I appreciate that. 850 subscribers. I appreciate all the support of the people. Yes, 13,000 views the last 2 months. I've been here every night. I've grown, but I earned the 13,000. If there's anybody, I think James Taylor was telling me yesterday, if there's anybody that earned the 850 subscribers in terms of the sheer amount of days I've been on this platform, he said, you definitely earned it. I said, thank you, James, very much. And yes, we definitely agree. He definitely deserved it. And yes, we hope Aaron is well. And big announcement from our friends in UWA. Did I say hello to Jake earlier on the show? Did I say that I mentioned UWA a couple of times? I
You
think I
you
did.
you did. You did.
I did. Yes, UWA. I definitely am excited about that. And also, no reason to be late. Our friends in CSW, obviously. So some of your
Yes.
compadres are here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the screen. I think it's a good time. I want to present to you one more thing because there's a lot to talk about in current events. I want to get
Mhm.
to. So I want to present to you one more thing while I have a chance. So let me do that here for those that are listening and watching. It's funny because last Tuesday on the show, we inducted Yoshi Matsuda into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And he was a 16-time world champion, but he was ironically, it's interesting because I had the shortest speech of anybody in Sportswire Radio history to have inducted him into the Hall of Fame because he was like, I don't want a speech. And he was kind of adamant about it. I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. But then conversely, I did yours, and yours was the longest speech in history. And
Yeah.
there's a reason why that's also important because Yoshimatsu Matsuda might have been a 16-time champion when he won his 16th world undisputed championship from Wrestling Zero, but now you officially become a
Wow.
17-time world heavyweight champion. And I believe you're our first 17-time world heavyweight champion in Sports by Radio history. And congratulations on that. We wanted to give you something a little special to recognize
Thank you.
that. And congratulations, champ.
Thank you. Like this, and I guess this is where we get into some stuff because a select few people that have held this championship or just outside people looking in keep saying that this title is just another throwaway title. You show up to Tennessee, you're gonna get this, blah 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 blah. Um, Original CCW management was closing due to some personal reasons, and after just earning this championship from Jake, because little did people know this was another, I guess, cherry on top of the ice cream for our match at FD3.
Yep.
Um, the last championship, the last world title, my 16th world title I won
It's
was
been a while. It's been a couple years.
it was last year at BYWN. I don't know. It was like Bound for Glory or Hellfire or whatever it was called. I don't know. I
I'm
don't pay
sure
attention anymore.
Napalm would probably know because he's in the Nexus. He'd probably tell you.
Right. I think it was Heart of Glory,
Okay.
and
I remember Heart of Glory. I actually remember covering Heart of Glory. Okay.
I defeated Jason X, won the HFW world title, and due to some complications and some personal stuff, I ended up vacating it. And I don't like vacating belts if you're still able to compete. And I didn't want to just give this away. So I made an exclusive purchase or two. I bought CCW and I want to use it as a developmental place within the realm of YBW for stars that don't get as much opportunity because we have a lot of new people that are in. We have Indian Warrior, Unit X, and someone you've seen in the comments, Magnum Carter, who
Yes.
debuted at Heatwave too, attacking ATK, who shock and awe isn't watching and isn't here. Go figure. Um, we'll get into that later, but he hasn't won a world championship, and his first match, his debut match, is at Rise of Champions Sunday, August 25th. But who knows what he could be doing following that in September, whether he wins the hardcore title or not. Maybe he takes some Chaos Championship gold. Who knows? But I am opening the door in September on the first inaugural episode of CCW Chaos to not just one, not just two, maybe even three opponents for a shot at the CCW Heavyweight Championship. And it has to be new
Wow.
guys.
And
I
I'm
don't
gonna
want
put the
people that have been world
YBW link
champion
up.
before. I want people that have never even seen or sniffed a world heavyweight championship in their life.
So Craven Rage would not be able to compete in this thing.
Well, not if he's gonna hand it to himself. No.
Yeah, well,
Do I
he
have the
probably
right
would.
guy? Is that who I'm
I
looking
hear
at?
through the grapevine. I hear through the grapevine he's already doing different things in different places, but I don't want to get into that. But obviously, I'll put some YBW links up here in a few minutes. But I have to ask you then an obvious question. So 17 times you're a world champion. I mean, I
Yes.
asked Matsuda about being 16. Now, what does it mean to you to be 17 times? It's a really big number. Everybody kind of fantasizes or romanticizes about that 17th world championship. We're talking about Flair right now. Orton's got 16. Cena's got 16. And Charlotte Flair's right behind. And we talk about who's going to get that 17th, and I know it's a little different in BYW, but you've still gotten there. And I have to ask for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, what does it mean to you now to be a 17-time world heavyweight champion?
Well, it's not just the number itself, but it's also the matches and the story that really moves me within that number. Um, I would love to be sitting here as an 18 time with the last world title I challenged for, but I don't have
Well,
that.
unfortunately, we'll definitely talk about that company, but it seemed like you were going to be an 18-time world champion, and
Yeah,
you know it
but
didn't.
the story with Jake and then receiving this after the fact when I thought that was all that I could do, it was just like, wow, like part of my career and part of myself kind of rejuvenated in a way, was kind of, pun not intended, resurrected from the amount of things that were almost pronounced and set in stone dead for me because of outside factors and who I was and wasn't working with and so on and so forth. So I know, like, me holding this is like whatever to some people, but me holding this right now, and especially holding this Heritage Championship, means the world to me with the amount of BS I had to go through for certain trips and for
I
certain
said it in
runs.
the
And
speech. I said what you went through, and I don't want to repeat it on the air, but you've went through
right,
a lot in your life to go out there and do this. You have gone and really done God's work without even realizing it, and I think that's why this has got to be special because of what you've went through. You kind of alluded to some places you worked at, and it was obviously what it was. You've been here multiple times since. There's no need to go down that road.
right,
It's water under the bridge. But to be a world champion again again, it took you a while to get to this level. It doesn't even matter. I disagree when people say, "Oh, you're a world champion," and some people say, "Ah, it doesn't matter," and some people say, "Ah, the company it means very little." To me, I look at it and say, "You're a world champion. It's still a major responsibility."
yeah,
It's a
absolutely. And it is frustrating and rewarding at the same time, in a sense, especially with the amount of takeovers and the amount of betrayals and the amount of two-faced crap and the amount of not fully getting what I bargained for and signed up for. It's just, and that's not even me throwing shade. That's just me being transparent.
No, that's listen. That's
Right,
Unfortunately, that's just in life. It's not
right. That's
even
just life.
in BYW. I mean, trust me, it's everywhere. It's not just backyard wrestling. It's anywhere you go in life. You're dealing with those things, but you've gone out there and you've found a way. You've persevered, and you've done it. And I know there's people that want to talk in a minute. I'll get to the comments because there's some good ones actually I want to get to. But you've hung in there and you've battled. You've
It's
battled.
all I know how to do, Tom. If you get to know me in real life, you'll learn very quickly. I'm one stubborn son of a bitch. I don't just sit down and or lay down and take anything. It's just not who I am. It's never been what I'm about. It's just I'm very, very stubborn. And when I set my mind to something, I'm gonna do it one way or another, whether the devil is grabbing me by the neck and pulling me back, or God is grabbing my hands and leading me forward. It's just what I'm gonna do.
Well,
So
you've definitely done a lot of things, and I want people to follow you on Instagram because you are on Instagram, and I see some people
thank
that
you.
are here for the first time that maybe have seen you here on Sportswire, and I want to make sure that they go hit that follow button and get into some stuff with YBW for you. And let me get to some comments here. And also, Magnum says, "Is that a challenge I hear?" Well, you might have got one potentially.
If you want to come and get it, you'll know where I'll be. Blaze
Well,
versus Carter, MC versus headline. Let's do it. Step
sounds
up,
like
kid.
a deal to me. I want to say hello to Mr. Yoshi Matsuda, who I was watching his Instagram live earlier today. I think I just missed the one he did. He wanted to congratulate you. He is also a
Thank you.
16-time undisputed world champion. He wants to remind me of that, as he did on Tuesday's show. But he also wanted to say that this is a man I would have loved to have competed against, an absolute legend. And, he's
Thank
from
you. I appreciate it.
Australia. Now, I'm sure you're aware of he came on to Sportswire and he wrestled
Yes.
a guy that you know very well, a man that has interviewed you, and Mr. Ace Reed of the formerly
Yes.
Wired Up podcast. And Ace is obviously well known now because he came out a couple of weeks ago on Sportswire Radio and wanted to travel. He says he wants to come to the United States of America. He wants to show his very best. And Mr. Matsuda said he would support him in any way possible. He even offered going with Ace Reed and coming to the United States of
Come here,
America. So
boys. Come here,
I,
boys.
I was going
Bring
to
it.
ask you because you're an owner of a company. You're obviously a guy that has been in the shoes of an Ace Reed. Matsuda has also traveled around the world. He's also, for those that don't know, a very successful artist. He has some stuff out there in the world of music that has near six figures in views. And he has an album coming out that his record label thinks is going to sell a lot of units. So he's a guy that kind of like a James Taylor, where he's really doing it for the love of wrestling. He's more known outside of wrestling, and that's a credit to him, just like it's a credit to
Nice.
James. But what do you think about guys like Ace Reed, your old pal, and Matsuda, who are travelers? What do you want them here? Do you want to have them have a home in YBW to square off against you and such? What do you think on all that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, that's the stuff I want to see, and the stuff that I've been, scratching on the floorboards for. Is that regardless of where you're from, like, I want everybody, even the people who you don't think are worth working with and don't have much to prove or don't have much stance in this community, I still want those people to be on a platform and at least show that, okay, well, maybe they're not better than a handful of these people. They still have long ways to go, but that they can go. That they have the ability to go on the mic, that they have the ability to go in the ring. I'll give you an example. This is probably pulling back the curtain a little bit, but earlier today, or I think yesterday, I texted Abraham Storm from CSW.
Yes, I know Abraham. Yes, I know Abraham very
He
well.
has been a long-standing fan of Young Breakout Wrestling, and he does not live that far from us. And
Yep.
I basically did what certain people didn't do for me back in the day. I opened the door, and if he wants to come and step through to prove himself, he fully has my blessing, and he will be accommodated for. And the same thing goes for a handful of fans who are wrestlers and just wrestlers in general. We've extended invitations to Jacob Collins, Jason Storm, Silas Walker, Brandon Costelli, and recently, now that it's a
I think
possibility,
Brandon
Ace Reed.
Costelli, something tells me Brandon Costelli. I don't want to say too much to peel back the curtain, but something tells
Mhm.
me that that might have been due to a conversation I had with Mr. Costelli because I feel like
Maybe.
you spoke to Mr. Costelli not too long ago. I'm almost certain of it, and I'm pretty sure that I would actually have a thing or two to know about that actually. But I'm glad you said that because there's a guy, Gabe Sayers, who I mentioned, and Gabe Sayers was a fan. He was a fan and he was a Twitch streamer, and he wound up, who's in the Hall of Fame, by the way,
Mhm.
and he's wound up being in the main event of GTS. He wrestled Graham. He was just obviously went all the way to Tennessee and wrestled James Taylor and Anthony Steele. And you just never know out there. Gabe Sayers was a perfect
Extremely
example.
talented, by the way.
Oh, I mean, Gabe Sayers in like 2 years from now, I'm going to probably never know him. Well, he might still know me, maybe, but yeah, no question. But anybody can do it. Anybody can go out there and make that moment if they put their mind to it. And I think it's great that you're
Absolutely.
giving Abraham a chance. I think Jacob Collins, you mentioned. I know, leave aside the big man Cam jokes about Jacob Collins. He's come a long way, and he's an example of a guy that's put the work in. Sean Jovi, I think, has made a remarkable comeback. There are people that, if you give them a chance, you extend the olive branch, anything can happen. Silas Walker talked a lot about that when he was here on Sportswire about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and that shows you. Let me get to some more comments. A lot of people want to say hello. I knew that the chatter box are gonna come out now. Yes, we respect Yoshi. Also here,
Yes.
did I get to the also did I get to you? This is the man I would have loved. Yeah, I think we talked about this
Yep,
comment,
we
right?
got this.
We got
Yeah.
that. Okay. Big man Cam, of course, who's become obviously one of the regulars on Sportswire. I don't know if you technically maybe shared a locker room with him. Maybe not. I don't know, but
Nah,
you technically
nah. I left before he came in, but
CBW. You guys weren't in a CBW locker room at all by any
no, he
chance?
literally came in after I left.
Boy, you and Big Man Camp, interesting, right? XCW, he comes into XCW right after you leave XCW. CBW, he comes in right after you leave CBW.
It's almost like Big Man Cam was afraid and kind of just sat back and let things occur how they did, and now he wants to waltz in, and he walked around with my world title
But he
and a
might. Well,
title
is
that
he?
should have been
Do you
mine.
think he? Well, that's a good question. Do you think he's the ROW World Champion? Is he the
Oh
ROW
no, I
World
wasn't
Champion?
talking about that. I was talking about the CBW Critical Heavyweight Championship that I made
Yes.
relevant more than anybody
Well,
else.
you were a
But
CBW World Champion. Yes, you were a
Mhm.
CBW World Champion, but he took that title away from a guy that you've obviously also defeated in Jacob
Which
Collins.
is funny because if I didn't make two little mistakes, that title would have been mine. But we're not going to talk about how I'm the real ROEW World Champion. And
Well, I'll come back to ROEW because something tells me here my friend Big Man Cam is going to be very curious about what you have to say about BYW. But I think the BYW reference we were talking about was backyard wrestling. That's the acronym for backyard wrestling.
yeah,
But
he's referring to his
his group,
little
yes,
club with CJ
Jason
Black
Storm and
and
TJ Black,
Jason
yes.
Storm.
Yes, but he actually afterwards said, "What's up?" on a serious note. There's a reason, though. I have to stick up for my friend Big Man Cam. In addition to the fact that he has given me a cameo, and I'm gonna get another cameo from Big Man Cam soon. But he actually has something that he's worked on very hard that I have to come
Hmm.
back to in a little while. So that's why he obviously wants to say on a serious note, "What's up, Blaze?" So I just want to
Oh,
say that.
I received a message or two.
Well, I'm going to get to that because I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if my friends out there would see this and I didn't ask that question because my friends would not want to be my friends anymore. But I'm down for a match with the legendary Aaron Blaze. Let's put on a show for the ages. I couldn't agree more about that. I could not agree more. And actually, if you want to follow Aaron Blaze also on YouTube, hit him up on YouTube because he's got a YouTube page that's got some subs. And we're going to put the YBW link up here. But if you're here
Oh,
for the
that
first
one,
time,
yeah.
go hit the sub button for Aaron Blaze. You can see the WrestleMania vlogs. He doesn't live too far from Mania. You could see his ROEW music, ROEW stuff. You could see a lot of his different stuff, UWA, some different things. Check him out. Go follow him. I
I need
endorse
to
him. He's in the
post
sport.
more.
Well, you know what? That's
It's
okay. You're on
bad.
sports. You're on Sportswire right now, so I see everybody out here for the first time. I want Zilla. I want Mr. Matsuda. I want Trinity. I want Napalm. I want everybody in my chat to give him a sub button because I want Aaron Blaze to get more subs. And also,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Matsuda says, let's make it happen. So I guess then you want Mr. Matsuda to
Show up.
travel.
Show up.
So if he travels to America, you think you could help him out in at least YBW?
Absolutely.
You could.
For both him and Ace Reed, they'd get, without giving away too much, they'd get an opportunity on both shows,
They would. That's very kind of you. What a good owner you are.
even though they've both been world champions, in other places.
Yes.
They've never held a world title in America, so there's
Well,
kind of a bit of a loophole with the whole rules I enforce with
now,
CCW.
I have to ask a fun question in the peanut gallery, and maybe you might have fun at this as well. So let's
Yes.
say Mr. Matsuda and Mr. Reed come to America. Will it be for them like the Coming to America movie famous with Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy? Do you think it'll be like that for them where they'll come to America and they'll see like McDonald's for the first time and they'll walk
Oh
around and
God.
do you think it'll be like that for them or it'll be more like let's say that Rocky 4 where we had Drago versus Apollo Creed with James Brown living in America. You think it'll be? What do you think it'll be more like for those two individuals, Reed and Matsuda? More like coming to America, right? Because you could see it there. These guys coming in
Yeah.
here.
It's
Mr. Matsuda is going to get the syndicate after me right now. After what I just said, he's not going to. He's not happy about
no, we're not doing that. No,
that.
but like, not that I can compare it with Australia because I've never been and I need to, but um I mean it's a great experience for never being in the country, but
Yeah,
ultimately it's just like your country. There's places to eat, there's places to go, there's people to talk to, people to meet, things to do. It's not I don't find stuff that extravagant. and it's probably because I've never done it, and it's just, I guess it's probably just an aura, but I still think it will be fun. It will be eye opening for them if they do happen to come into the U.S. But yeah, I'm kind of in the middle on it. I
I
don't
got a
think
good.
it'll be
I
the
actually
greatest
have a
thing.
legitimate question. That we're here with the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, the headline Aaron Blaze. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voiced figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. If you're on YouTube, please hit the sub button for me. I'm at Sportswire Radio 6579. I am trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost there. My birthday is October
Give it
7th.
another month.
Well, I actually, the pace I did, it's by my birthday, October 7th. I'm shooting for October 7th because that's my birthday. I don't need anything for a birthday gift. You know why I don't need anything for a birthday gift? I'm going to tell you actually why. You, Aaron Blaze, once upon a time, you came out and had a video where you showed like some dollar bills, some $5 bills, and some $20 bills. And it was nice.
Oh yeah.
It was definitely a lot of fun, but I thought in a way to kind of, in a way, roast myself. I'm pretty sure that this will help me in terms of, I don't know. How does this work out? Does this help?
Nice.
That's probably, I don't know.
God damn, boy.
That's probably, I don't know. Could be 50,000 here, right? 25,000. I don't even know at this point. Could be that much.
Okay, so
I don't need a
buy
birthday
my
gift.
life. Let's go.
I could buy a lot of people's. Is XCW up for sale? I would love to have XCW, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But the point is, I like to get to 1,000 subs, and hopefully you can roast me like Aaron Blaze might want you on October 7th.
No, I can't roast you. You almost made me cry 5 minutes into my speech.
Well, let me dial it back for a second. I know there's a lot of comments. I want to get to people. So you've traveled a lot. Do you have any advice? Let's say Ace Reed or even Mr. Matsuda, they come to America. You have any traveling advice for them? Do you have any advice you'd want to give them that you've traveled as much as you have?
Make sure the plans and the people are worth your time.
Okay, it's a good one. It's a good one.
And not even from like a wrestling standpoint, but just how they are in real life. If you're gonna get along with certain people IRL, then you will have some good chemistry with in the ring. Like I get along with a handful of these people in real life for the most part, but and then we match it up in the ring pretty well. So I think it feeds into that chemistry. Like you have to at some point, I guess not full on like, but somewhat appreciate the people that you're doing this with and have some level of trust.
That's a good line. I think that's in anything in life. Obviously, what you saw there, I think I've had some success in life, and I always attribute those things to a lot of those things. You have to have a dedication, you have to have a drive, you have to have a trust, you have to build some level of things with the people around you to have been successful. And I think that's great advice for anybody out there.
I try.
Mr. Kron would like to say, hey, Blaze, if I get through C Money and win that prestige title, would you be my first challenger? It would be an honor to share the ring with you, good sir.
Well, I mean, kind of hard challenging for any ROEW gold, seeing as how realistically I'm at the back of the line for both. I'm not going to stroke my ego about it. I'm not going to whine and complain about it. I lost to Delta, lost in the Prestige title tournament to C Money, who is my pick to win the tournament just because I've actually shared a match with him and he has the drive to do it. But if you so happen to win the Prestige title, I'm going to pull Kevin Owens like your Cody and say I don't deserve it. But the difference is it's not going to make a match official. There's something else I would like to do before I start getting on the hunt to championship gold in ROEW, and something I think is a bit overdue in some cases. So whenever I do come back, first thing I'm gonna handle.
First
all
thing
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
say.
all you're gonna say. Now you know what? I think I'm gonna come back to Mr. Kron because there's some comments I want to get through, but I actually do want to come back to Mr. Kron. So I'm going to actually come back to him because he's important for a couple of reasons. And I'm going to make sure I do that shortly because there is something I want to actually pull up on the screen, which I'll do that in a few minutes. There's a lot of comments I'd like to get to first. So for those that are listening and watching.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
We got a lot of comments. Yes, comments are good. We like those comments. If you are interested, I can try and make it happen.
Hit me up. You have my Insta's been played.
I will
My
put the.
YouTube's
You know
like,
what? I will
yeah.
actually make it easier for Mr. Matsuda. There is Aaron Blaze's Instagram. So hit the follow button for him, DM him. That's his Instagram.
I'll get
Make
it
it
after
happen.
this because my phone is what is casting this. So I will
I
get you as
got
soon
you.
as I
No, no,
can.
no. I got you. But that's your Instagram. I look forward to the
Of
match
course.
between Darkon and C Money. I absolutely do. C Money has been on a great run. And I want to say this, Darkron, it's good to see Darkron wrestling in matches that aren't just hardcore matches because Darkron is really shown on a lot of these last couple of ROBW shows I've seen, whether it was the triple threat match with Delta, his own match with Matthew Forsaken. We're getting a chance to see Darkron really become the wrestler that I think a lot of people didn't know about, but so I'm very excited about that. I think that's going to be a sleeper, very high scored match by Copper Dragon. That's for sure. It would be an honor to wrestle Aaron Blaze from Abraham Storm. Very nice words there. Very nice. We like to
Appreciate
hear
it,
those
man.
nice words. I
Appreciate
got a
it.
lot more comments. Mr. Matsuda would also like to say, I'm a man of fulfilling my promises with action. He would also like to say, honestly, in 15 plus years of this, I have never seen a man like Blaze. This is a true testament of the industry with a man of passion and fire. And he's a very
Pun
successful
not
person.
intended.
He's a very successful
Thank
person,
you.
maybe more so outside the wrestling world. And he said it on one of his streams recently that this is more or less like it's a hobby for him. He does this more or less as a hobby, and that shows you the success that he's had in different things and such. So I'll come back to that. I got a lot more comments. Let me work to everybody here. Also, you, Jacob Collins. It's like when I join, someone says his name, like Joe Hendry, right? Say his name, and you get mad, pretty much, right? I think Jacob Collins is a great talent of ROBW. Might give that guy a raise.
Where's
James Taylor
mine?
with
Where's
what money?
mine?
Well, you like Jacob. You had obviously a good match with him, but also now Big Man Cam just started in January. Seems like a funny time to leave everywhere, though, Blaze. You sure it wasn't because you heard about him? Conversely, what do you say on that?
I never really did hear about you. I was too busy wrestling spoon shaped Squidward and apparently running from the man. But I will say this though. 2025. Get ready for some internet breaking stuff.
Ooh,
A-
internet
And and
breaking stuff.
maybe and maybe our paths are crossed, Cam.
Okay, well, I have still more comments. There's still so many things I want to get to, and I haven't got a chance to get to them yet. Want to say hello to our
BTW
friends BTW. BTW. I got to be honest, they've got some big guys that RJS,
all the way in
Comatose.
Oregon.
Yep. Have you?
That'd be
What do
interesting.
you think on BTW? This is a really. I feel like they're like almost like the equivalent of just like they're like the Tampa Bay Rays before this season in baseball. Every position they play well. They've got almost all the tools. They just top to bottom. They've got everybody there. Could be an all-star somewhere. I mean, it's kind of like they're pretty much company. You've got Comatose, who's got 3 belts. He's well known in BYW lore. You've got RJS, who's obviously traveled almost to our neck of the woods. You've got obviously Swift. A lot of people know him. You've got Jacob Frost, another guy a lot of people know. Almost exclusively, like 2/3 of their. You've got, Storm, Steven Storm. You got a lot of guys that the
Yeah.
BCF3 that they've traveled. And I mean, that's an interesting place. I mean, have you ever been to Oregon?
Never been to Oregon.
Really?
I've
Never
never
been to
been to that side
of the
of the
U.S.
country. Nope, never.
Well, you might want to go there too. They've actually got almost three. They got 3,000 subs just about on YouTube. They're almost at 3,000. I think they're just now close to 3,000. When we first had them on, they were like 2,870, and I think now they're just about 2,950 or 2,945. So interesting one. You and Comatose, you and RJS, you and Swift, you and Frost. Some good stuff there. Some interesting, very interesting. Blackout's their
There's several
champion.
stories there.
A lot of great
So,
stories. I am the real ROEW world champion. I pinned Jack Delta. Jason Storm said non-title. I did not agree to that. It's my championship. Okay. Let me come back to that. Well, James is basically stealing my thunder. Also, we have to run it between me and you. Let's not show kip each other. It's funny you said that. I think it's a good time. I think Big Man Cameron,
do it.
you basically stole my liner notes. So I'm gonna do it.
Way to go,
I have a
Way to
lot of
go.
comments. Let me bring it up on the screen. If I don't do it, I'm gonna really. The guys know where I live, so let me put it up there now. Now, I am sure you've heard about this thing. It's called the
I have.
Backyard Havoc. And, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I kind of basically opened up the Pandora's box last Sunday on this platform by kind of talking about maybe something out there, a partnership. And I hear through the grapevine, many of your people you've wrestled or shared a locker room with are a part of this Backyard Havoc. It's presented by DKW, ALW, and I hear a slew of stars that you, again, Jacob Collins, you've wrestled as a part of it. Big Man Cam is obviously a part of it. Darkron's a part of it. Matthew Forsaken. I hear Jason Storm's a part of it. I hear some other guys you're going to probably hear a lot more about on Sportswire Radio.
JX, D'Angelo LaFlame, Justin
Yeah, I was
Moxley.
I was gonna say I was gonna get to them, but obviously somebody has my liner notes. But what do you think about that? Now, remind me what the distance is between Pennsylvania and Ohio. Is that a lot shorter for you than Michigan or Shelbyville, or what's that
Well,
commute like?
it's even more shorter because I'm now only 20 odd minutes away from the Greyhound station in Pittsburgh, which is where I really start my journey. So it's I've been giving it a thought or two. I've received a message or several really
Yeah.
about going to certain places, and only time will tell. I'm not confirming, I'm not denying, because no matter what I say, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're full of it. You're not gonna go," or "Oh, you're lying. You're gonna go." All I'm gonna say is
Well, I
it
don't think
depends on where
anybody
I am.
would think. Well, I don't think anybody would think you would be lying because of all the places you've traveled to. So I think there's zero chance if Aaron Blaze says he's going somewhere that people wouldn't believe you. You have gone out and traveled. I mean, I don't think anybody in this circuit or on this platform that would think once about that. But Pennsylvania to Ohio is a lot closer than Tennessee or Indiana, basically, you told me. I don't know much about geography, but it sounds like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what part of Ohio it's in,
Bremen.
but
They're in Bremen, Ohio, which is
Bremen.
it's near Columbus, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, all right. So their closest, I think the closest Greyhound station would be Columbus to Bremen. I don't know if Bremen has their own, but
Bremen's a very small town. I would almost highly doubt that they would. I mean, it's like
yeah,
such a small town. It's probably not, but it's got to be what, a couple hours away from you.
I'd say. All right, someone look this up. Look up Pittsburgh, PA
Oh,
to
I'm
Bremen,
sure Big Man
Ohio.
Cam, who's obviously he'll look it up for us. I'll even. But the point is that maybe if there's a will and a way, and the good people can figure something out to bring you to the Backyard Havoc, and where you could maybe create some real havoc against some people that in fall now. Where everybody talked about Summer Bash, and I'm obviously wearing my Summer Bash merchandise because, well, I was granted an opportunity to wear it. Thank you to all the guys who are part of Summer Bash. But the point is that we're going to change the game by doing one of these in fall. I mean, to do one of these in fall is a pretty big deal. I would have to think. And I mean, what better way to really cause havoc than have a headline and a guy that's already blazed the trail in so many other places. And Ohio, for you, it's almost a walk in the park compared to all the places you've traveled to, and being in a place with peers you didn't get a chance to wrestle. Justin Parsley was a guy you shared a locker room with. A lot
And
of
he
people
was.
wouldn't mind. He's a world champion right now. You're a world champion. Isaiah Rage is a guy that has a tryout with WWE right now. I mean, you mentioned D'Angelo. I mean, you and D'Angelo had a brief appearance on Sportswire together. I think that's a match that a lot of people would like to see that match if there was a will and a way. You and D'Angelo, I mean, if I was the booker, and again, I don't book these things, but that would be my money to close the show out. If I were a betting man, I would close the show out with D'Angelo LaFlame and Aaron Blaze. That would be my final match, because that's a match that you may not get that opportunity again to have that match. It's a once in a lifetime match. I mean, there's no telling where that could happen. And to have a show and to really cause a backyard havoc, I mean, to me, that's my closing match. Just that's it. Listen, you and Jack Delta, right? Everybody's talked about Delta. Right? It was the
Yeah,
hottest storyline of 2024. It was a
absolutely.
match that was 6 years in the making. You were a fan of his. You obviously worked your way up to travel. But D'Angelo the Flame, I mean, he's the guy that's basically copying off you. He's copying you. And he's only been doing this for what? Traveling for what? 6 months?
Yeah.
You've done this for 6 years. I mean, he's basically almost like a Johnny come lately compared to you, but people might want to test their skills and see who really is the traveler of 2024. Delta really hasn't traveled this year. He did, okay, a little bit of a run in VTW, XCW. Let's not go there, but it's you and D'Angelo. You have been the guys traveling, and that could be a match that could determine maybe who's the biggest traveler of 2024. And if D'Angelo really wants to be this darling of the circuit and really put his place on the traveling Mount Rushmore, he's got to wrestle you. Otherwise, he can go back to AWL and maybe he can have a match there. That'd be great. But to wrestle you, that'd be what a lot of people might want to see. I'm just saying, again, he could go anywhere he wants. And I would love to see him back in AWL. I'd love to see him back anywhere he wants to go. I think he's a fantastic talent. But
Yeah.
if it can be done, and he's already been to Bremen, and you live closer to Bremen, a lot more closer to places you've already been to me, that would be the show I would close out with. Night 2, main event, D'Angelo the Flame, Aaron Blaze for bragging rights of who's the best traveling wrestler of 2024. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the many matches in this community that people would talk about that doesn't need any belt, doesn't need
Nope.
to be oversaturated
Nope.
any more than it already is. It's just two guys who have had it probably a bit more difficult than some of the others, um, that are doing this at such a high degree, who are immensely talented, immensely driven, and we just see who wants it more at the end of the day. And I think, aside from years and aside from everything else, I truly believe I want it a little bit more than he does.
Well, I mean, that's. I don't know if that's the
I can say all I
salvo.
want. I can say all I
No, no,
want.
no.
There's only
Listen,
one way to find
I
out.
don't. It's funny you said that because I think automatically putting on my promotion hat, that's the first salvo to November 10th. But again, D'Angelo and Aaron, it's time will tell. Nothing's set in stone. But to me, like I think I would speak on behalf of a lot of people that are in the community and fans of the platform. That's the match to me. It doesn't need a belt. It should be the main event to close the show. It's in a way, it's kind of our Osprey and Danielson. I think it's kind of our for our circuit. It's our Osprey and Danielson. You and LaFlame, to me, that's it. That's the match. You and him, it's Osprey versus Danielson, Backyard Havoc, and that's the match. That's it. I don't need a title. I don't need, you and Delta was different circumstance, but this match, to me, it just sells itself. And I see all the numbers coming up now because I see people now. I see the comments that people, I'm sure, want to talk more about that. Let me come up. I'm sure the comments. It's good to have a lot of comments here because my show yesterday didn't really have many comments. So because I obviously was doing a non-wrestling show, but it was a little challenging. My last, well, no, it's good. What I was trying to say was it's good to be back with a main eventer in the prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest. It's back. It's good to see Sportswire alive after the past couple of days. It's good to see us back and alive again. I don't think so, big man. That's ROVW's World Championship, and it belongs to the outsider himself, Jack Delta. I'll leave that between Mr. Taylor and Mr. Cam. Zero is always open, for sure. And I know there's a UWA announcement because I got the notification. I will get to that. I have to get to comments, but I do have an announcement there for that. We'll come back to that. Yes, Australia has a BYW scene. Yes, it does. Ace Reed's a part of it. BWDU. We have
Welcome
ETW.
to the circus.
Yes, we have that there. I don't know who Big Man is, but if that's the case, why is it in my possession? Australia, I need to see that. I can actually make it very easy for you. If you'd like to see Australia, you like to see Australian backyard.
Or Magnum Carter has so much backyard wrestling stuff to catch up on. Not even YBW based, but what the entire community is doing. I feel so bad.
Well, you know what? I'm going to make his life a lot easier, and I'm going to make maybe Wrestling Zero a little famous for a few minutes because, after all, you are a main eventer and a headline. You want to go follow Wrestling Zero and see what they're up to? That's their YouTube page, so go check them out. So that would be good to see. There you go. Japan versus US. Okay, Tom, I'll flex next time I'm on then. Maybe, maybe. So I'll do some dances for that cash. Is
Pause.
Kim Kardashian or Jennifer Lopez available instead? But they probably use
Touche.
goods anyway, damaged goods, right? Oh, never mind. Big Man Cam, I'm telling you right now, you'll return the world championship back to Jack Delta. I don't know about that. Good boy, James Taylor. Said my name correctly. I'll give it back under one condition. Delta pins me, but you and I both know that's never going to happen. He knows he can't beat me. Popcorn eyes. Matsudo, I say I'm pretty good with travel. I've made work happen at home in Japan, so going to the U.S. will be a dream. Yes, it's actually a very far. Matsuda was talking about it. Australia to Japan is a very long travel. It's a very long commute, so he's
I bet.
well used to it. I got you, big boy. Bet you do. One day this will definitely happen. Hang on to the UWA stuff. I'm gonna get to that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
get to
fine.
UWA. I want to clear the comments. I got a lot of them here.
Okay.
If ROEW ever needs a Japanese talent, well, I can get you in touch with James Taylor. I can take care of that when we're off the air. We've got a pissing contest between Big Man Cam and James Taylor. Chaos reigns. Welcome to every other Sports Wire show. Japanese talent would
Amen.
be nice. If I can make it happen, I'll be there. There you go. So I knew that would happen. I'll connect everybody. Get James Taylor a stool in that case for the funeral. I'm gonna let's leave out funeral stuff. Oh, trust me, this big boy isn't even in my league. He takes orders from Mr. Clean and Cracker Jack Box. Now, who's got Cracker Jack Box and who's using Mr. Clean? Oh, nah, not the Mr. Clean bar. Yeah, that's it. Okay. We got a lot of comments here. In case you didn't watch Face Off, yes, the real ROW champion, which I sort of referred to. Consequences are an under. Yes, and that's tomorrow. What's tomorrow? James is here tomorrow to talk about that. He's going to be here tomorrow. Shiver Me Timbers. What's going on? Alan Michaels. Alan's another one of my buddies
What's up,
here. And
trendsetter?
oh, you like Alan? I like Alan a lot. He just beat a man you've wrestled and defeated also, Atomic Titan. You both have something in common. Wins
Not
over
hard to
Atomic
do.
Titan.
Not hard to do.
Lately, but okay, Zilla, you can buy ROEW. Need a more fair boss out there. I could buy the company. I just showed how much dollar signs I had, but that's a different
I'll be
conversation.
flexing
But
up in here.
yeah, well, let's not go there. Mr. Blaze is AEW for sale? I don't think I could quite afford AEW, but
It's worth a hot dog and a handshake, pal. Anybody
and
can
I could
afford it at this
I
point.
could definitely afford that. Mr. Blaze, just know that you're welcome. That's all
Thank you. I
Mr.
appreciate
Khan
that.
say. Zilla, don't waste your time acknowledging BYW. I'm about one half of C-Bus. He's about a half hour out of Columbus. Oh wow, okay. He's about a half hour out of Columbus. I see.
Oh, it's about half. Okay.
Hey, Big Man Cam, I can always ask Kona Hakumi. Oh, he's saying that he can get his wife to go buy out ROEW. Ooh, I see.
Interesting.
Interesting. By the way, Darkron said he'll pick you up from the station personally. He'll pick you up.
I'll keep
He
you
heard
posted.
he heard
I'll
so
keep you
much
posted.
about what yours truly just said. He saw what's best for business, and he's basically going to make your life a lot easier. And Big Man Cam's even volunteering. And he was joking, by the way. He was joking about buying RWW, by the way. Brett Anderson's in the house. Well, I want to get into
Brett.
Brett. I by the way, love Brett Anderson. And definitely wishing he never goes back on Silverwolf show. But we love Brett now. Brett's my friend. Brett's got some good stuff work. I'm going to get to UWA in a few minutes. I just got to get through. I got so many comments. Let me get to him here. LaFlame versus Blaze. Oh, hell yes. I'm glad somebody, Abraham, is listening to what you have to say. Blaze and WWE, will it happen? Yes, should it happen sooner than later?
See, and all right.
You
I'm
get,
kind
you
of
get,
glad he brought this up because I've been getting questions ever so often about it here and there. Um, like recently, before I disassociated from her, my mother and other members of my family, they're like, Eamon, when are you gonna go to? And wow, I'm using my government name on here, Jesus. They're like, Eamon, when are you gonna go pro? When are you gonna do WWE? When are you gonna stop backyard wrestling? And blah 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 blah. And it's just like originally that was the plan when I was like, I don't know, 4, 5, 8. Like I always wanted to be a WWE superstar. But then I lost the passion in watching it and then acquired a passion for doing it. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna go pro. I really can't answer that question to the people that have been asking me it.
I mean, the Flame has actually he's been
got to try
training.
out for Impact or something like that.
Yeah, he had a pro match. Big Man Cam, I don't know if you know this. He's actually trained. He's had a match on the Indies. Delta's talked about, which I'm sure you're aware of, his
Yeah,
run being trained. Anthony Steele has done some stuff on the independents, has trained. Alan Michaels, who's here, is trained. He's had I think Alan, you had one or two matches. I mean, guys have to figure it out and they make a judgment call. Do I want to go make the jump or do I stick in the yard? There's a lot of people that kind of figure, JJ Stevens, who I know you know very well,
yeah, I
is
know JJ
trying to
very
make
well.
the transition along with Devin Adams. You have also JB Havoc, who you may or may not know.
I've
He's
heard of him.
trying, yeah, he's doing the same thing. So there are some guys that are trying to figure out, do I make the transition? Drake Golddragon wrestled Moose. How about that? I mean, so
Yeah.
there's just, guys struggle with the decision, do I want to stay in the yard or do I want to maybe go at it and maybe try it out? I don't know. It's a tough decision. I don't know. I mean, it's everybody's got an opinion, and I don't know. It's not for everybody based
Yeah.
on that. That's your opinion. Flame versus Blaze. Obviously, Flame and Blaze sounds fire. Gee, that's a good one. But for real, if I can make it happen, okay, he goes back on that.
Real
Also,
headline energy in the room.
and how about listen, Alan Michaels? He heard what I said, and he said he's interested now in the backyard havoc. How about that? And he wants
Trendsetter versus
he
Trailblazer.
and how about and he also wants Big Man Cam. I mean, how about that? I mean, listen, this backyard havoc, it could change the face of the backyard circuit. I mean, you thought Summer Bash would change things? We're doing it in the fall. Listen, Alan Michaels and how about Alan Michaels and Aaron Blaze? Alan Michaels and Big Man Cam? I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, stay trendy. You really want to stay trendy? Oh boy, this might be the way to do it. I mean, listen, he's a guy, an impressive guy. He had his match with Jay Wild. He recently had his matches with Titan. I mean, he's having some of his best work right now. He's become a top guy in TBW. He's become one of the guys that's been anchoring TBW.
With full disclaimer, if his employers and I were on talking terms, let's just say someone who's a trendsetter and a trailblazer would have taken the world title off of Jay Wild. But that's just me, though.
Well, I'm sure if we wanted to get you on talking terms with that company, I'm pretty sure that you might be looking with the man that could
Yeah.
probably help you with
I
that.
mean,
But
I will say this, though, because I'm honest, I'm transparent. I am someone that wants exposure. I don't try hanging on to every single little thing. But I will say this in regards to that whole area, that whole state within the same town, this is always going to come first. I'm not going to turn my back on it
totally
unlike some
understand.
people did recently. So,
We're gonna get to that. I just got so many comments. The people are fired up tonight. It's good.
yeah,
It's
you're
good.
good.
It's good that people are fired up tonight because I was kind of missing some of these shows on Sportswire. We haven't had one of these in a couple of days, so it's been good. Call TBW management and set up Mr. Michaels. I'll come to you. Add another company to my travel list and make that match come true for you. And Big Man Cam has told me that Blaze is probably the best talent in the BYW community. I tell you what,
The real world champion of UWA. You're welcome.
he wrestled. Oh, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna listen. I know people are waiting for that. Yes, hi, Alan Michaels. Hi, BTW. Thank you very much for that. I've only been watching BYW for a short time. They're all talented in their own right. Same goes for ROEW. I couldn't agree more. I would love to one day wrestle there and be a part of history in a few years. Well, I think you're going to be a part of history. And
As a
before I get
YBW talent, trust me, you're going to get there, Cam.
and
Not
I want
Cam.
people to
Carter.
follow YBW
Carter.
because I got to make sure we support YBW right there on that YouTube page. Go
Yes,
hit the
sir.
sub button for YBW. Dark Kron said he would book you in LaFlame. Speaking from experience, as obviously Michaels wrestled LaFlame at Anniversary 7, the dude has energy for real. So he has mentioned that.
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Matsuda said the doors are open for anybody. And I think that's what we're getting tonight. The door is open. That's why I love Sportswire shows like this where this is what you get. We're the only platform where everybody comes from everywhere. The door is open. There's no, oh, you can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. No, We all just converged, and that's why I'm fired up, and I think that we're going to see some things happen here. I don't know what the No Me reference is. That is, they suppose. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, like I said, doors are open to anyone. Yes, I think doors would be open everywhere. Sorry, I didn't mean to say he's putting his son to sleep, so wrong pronunciation. Well, Big Man Cam's like 6'17". I don't think anybody's going to argue with Big Man Cam in real life. So just saying.
I'll argue with him
Well, he's
and
six foot
win.
17. Well, maybe you. Well, you're Aaron
I've
Blaze.
wrestled I've wrestled people that are just as big and probably
I
bigger,
realize
and
that, but
guess who ended up standing? Me. Kind
well,
of thing.
Mikey Reedy hopefully picks his pants up next time, but that's a different conversation for a different. We love UWA here on Sports. I want to put that out. This was actually just Mikey Reedy. He actually likes my post on Instagram. So, man out there promoting us, don't take the spotlight from Blaze, man.
Hard to do. It's hard to
Aaron
do.
Blaze in Oregon would be something. See, I told you, Pandora's box is open tonight. Oregon, Ohio. I mean, who knows where else? I don't even know. We're talking Japan, Australia now. I mean, maybe we should have an AI version of Aaron Blaze. They were talking about Atomic Titan AI version, but instead Aaron Blaze, it could be global. A global Aaron Blaze phenomenon here.
Yes,
Wrestling Zero got a new follower. See, there you go. That's what I do on Sportswire. Australia versus North Carolina. CSW. Who knows? Who knows? The door is open tonight. The door is wide open. Yes, hello, Zilla. We all say hi to Zilla. Thank you, Magnum. I appreciate that very much. One day, CSW, one day. Yes, all wrestling matters. I love watching all kinds of wrestling. So do I. I love this sport and hope to one day make an impact in it. You're on Sportswire Radio right now in the chat with 30 people live. You've definitely made an impact. You are here with almost 1,000 subscribers. You have made an impact. I may be retiring next year, but I got 5 months to go. It's basically Australia's version of the John Cena retirement tour, 2024-25 Australian style.
extended in case you don't make it out this year.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Mr. Matsuda definitely, I know, is coming back to Sportswire next month, and he'll have something to say about that. That's 5 months I'll be watching. Speaking of people, you want to know what a real headline would be?
Don't even get me started.
But he's a world champion like you.
He's
my world champion. I actually have to do business here. He's my world champion. He's my only 4-time Hall of Famer. I mean,
no shade. I'm just saying.
No, I got that.
Previous conversation that
But I got that. He's a man you've shared a locker room with, and and you're obviously a fellow Hall of Famer now alongside him, and he's obviously giving a headline, and he's made a lot of headlines in the circuit over the past several months.
Yep, Parsley has. I mean, we can make. I fully believe that you could put me and Parsley in any kind of situation and it will just work, whether it's as adversaries or as teammates. I think it would get people's attention. And
I think it'd draw a lot of money.
Oh yeah. How do I say this without saying it? I'll just say things happen, things change, things come together as they fall apart, and you never know what could happen. So stay tuned for 2025. That is all.
Ooh, I tell you what, you just never know. The doors are always open here on Sportswire Radio. And
if there's anything I'm known for, it's getting people to ask a lot of questions and pissing a lot of people off. So.
And also, you and Mr. Parsley have something else in common. You both were PWF roster members. You were a PWF member, and he's the PWF world champion. Boy, I bet people didn't know that one, but I did. Thanks, Magnum. It's going to be an amazing last run. Blaze could be in other places very soon. Yeah, I mean, listen, well, he's here right now.
Number 20 is on the horizon, by the way.
Well, he's here on Sportswire first. Let's let him stay on sport. We got a lot of comments here. People are just, I want to get to other things, but the people are just, they're fired up to, because you know what it is? I got to be honest, when I announced you, I'm in a bunch of group chats with a lot of people, and people were like, oh, people were telling me it's good you're back with somebody. Like, they were missing Blaze, Delta, Taylor. They were like, people were like, it's good. Yes, I mean, we've had some good shows. Matsuda was very good on Tuesday, but we've been missing some of those type of shows. Matsuda was a good one, but since Matsuda, we've missed the Blazes, we've missed the Deltas, we've missed the Taylors, the Steels, the Parsleys, the so on and so on. It's good to be back where we belong. Yes, Justin likes doing that. Finally, yes, that's going to be in November. That's November 1st. November 1st. That's August 17th. They're going to be here Thursday night about that. Does Zilla? Don't even go there. Okay, you know what? I think I've got the point. Finally, we've caught up to every single comment. It took me 45 minutes to do that. So I have to ask you with what a lot of people, and I know there's a UWA announcement also, which I just
Yes.
saw on my notification. So I want to get to that second. But I have to ask you this question because it's been a big topic in the circuit. A lot of guys have messaged me in different places. Some you share a locker room with outside of UWA. Others within the locker room have messaged me. A lot has gone on in UWA the past couple of days.
Yeah.
Obviously, the news is that we had the Underground Championship vacated and we had the World Heavyweight Championship vacated. Obviously, Dalton Skull is no longer under contract. His cousin, who was the Underground Champion, is also no longer champion. And CJ, who was the World Heavyweight Champion, is no longer a member of UWA. Now, he talked about his reasons why he left UWA, it seems, for now. And I think that obviously cleared a lot of things. But, you're the Heritage Champion. A lot of people are going to be wanting to know what the Heritage Champion, Aaron Blaze, has to say about what's going on in the last couple of days in UWA, because I have to be honest, I love UWA. You know that we have a great relationship with UWA. A man I'm going to get to in a second is a very good friend of mine. I've had a great relationship with guys like Brett Anderson, Will Jackson, E.T., Chase Sullivan, Jay Cal. So breaking the fourth wall, these have all been friends on the Sportswire. This is not a situation
Yeah.
like XCW, DBW, UWA. We've had great relationships with them, and I don't expect that not to continue. But you have to talk about what happened with
Yeah.
CJ, UWA, Dalton Skull, and his cousin, and what do you think of right now the current state of the Underground Wrestling Alliance?
So let's get into the CJ thing, and I'll get it out of the way. Um, the world title isn't vacated, but at this moment, CJ is still our world champion, and he is still under contract. And there's just been a discussion or two of maybe taking things a bit out of proportion and just letting emotions run high, and we're getting that whole thing resolved. So to the UWA audience, not that I'm trying to sound like an owner or general manager,
No. Listen,
but
I want to give that opportunity here tonight.
yeah, but as someone that is proud to have came back and helped evolve UWA and has played a huge role in a couple of things. The main event of Underground Unleashed, which will be our next event, is going to be CJ defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Sammy Slade. Now, granted, there's been tension. There's been tension within the Midwest Mafia, and I don't really think CJ's taking it seriously. I don't think he has been taking Slade seriously. So maybe he is wanting to retire or leave because he doesn't view Sammy Slade as a threat. Now, I wouldn't take him lightly. I mean, I was one of the final people to be in this year's Tennessee Jamboree with him and another person that I'm going to talk about in a second. Slade's the one that threw me out. I could have been the guy to showcase he is the true king and the true ace of UWA, and I am. But I could have further solidified that winning the Tennessee Jamboree after returning to UWA, capturing the Heritage Championship in my first match back. Um, I think CJ is kind of just brushing off Slade and maybe is trying to psych him out, but I looked Slade in his face, and you can't really shake that guy off.
Slade these last few months, he's had a legitimate case about that world title, and he's understandably upset. And in many ways, this is the biggest challenge of CJ's run as champion. So you have to look at it and saying, is this reactions toward that championship? And Slade has had legitimate points, and he's been throwing some roadblocks, and he hasn't, in his vantage point, gotten a fair shake at it, and he's about to get that shake. and maybe this is what it all is. Now, CJ, as I'm sure you're aware of, did an Instagram live though yesterday, and he did
Yeah.
clarify some things. I think it did seem like he was done for now, but he did talk about the fact that he's got some things, some personal issues at home, and a lot of that is playing into the role. He talked about full disclosure. I believe that match is going to take place. He wrestled the match. After that, you know, I don't know. We don't know the
Who
future.
knows?
We don't
Yeah, who
know the
knows?
future, but it sounded like that he's not a member of UWA at the moment. Now, you would know more information than most because you're the Heritage Champion, and obviously you represent the company. But the CJ situation, at least when I watched the live on Instagram, it did come across that maybe the relationship, it's more about what he's going through at home rather than, let's say, the next two people that are a huge topic right now in the circuit as to why they left UWA and some other things. Is that a fair statement for me to say based on the CJ situation versus Dalton Skull and his cousin? Is that a fair
Yeah,
statement for
well,
me?
I'm not gonna, air CJ's real life business on
Well,
here because it's
he
certainly
mentioned
not
on
my name.
Instagram. No, no, and I agree
Yeah,
with you.
but it's still not for me to say what he's
100%.
doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
I only brought it up because I watched the live and he
yeah, no,
talked
you're
about
you're
the
fine.
situation.
It's just what struck as odd was because these were already pre-existing problems and issues he's had, but the timing I think is what shifted a lot of people because it happened instantly after
Dalton Skull and
um
his cousin.
thing one and thing two popped out, which I was kind of wondering how I was going to approach that situation because with the CJ thing, it's meh.
It's what
It's
it
something
is.
that can be talked about, and it's something that will
Yeah,
be
we
solved
see it
one
all
way.
the time. Listen, people come back, cooler heads to be prevail. I mean, I like CJ a lot. He's been here. We have a good relationship. My opinion, I said this. I'll say what I said off the air, and I'll say it here on the air. I offered anything I could do, whether it's not even wrestling. If you want to talk, have a chat. I'm very open. I say the same. You know this. I say the same things on the air and off the air. So if there's something I could
You
do
do.
as a friend, my concern wasn't wrestling. I hope for the best, and that's all you could do, really. I mean, that's just what it is. But what I think you referred to is Dalton Skull and his cousin is the other two things as you referred to them. But what did you make of that situation? I mean, obviously that's something a lot of people, I think maybe you're talking about more so than the CJ situation because CJ did, like I said, he had the Instagram, and I think that kind of what you said. I think that maybe that'll be a different situation, but obviously a
Yeah.
lot of people are talking about Dalton Skull and his cousin. What do you think on that?
So to bluntly phrase it, and to get this out in the open, and I don't care if this ticks him off. I blocked him on everything after this happened. I think Dalton Skull has went from a lovable, reliable guy to a two-faced lying coward. And this isn't me like in character, this is an Aaron Blaze, like this is for shoot skis, right? Because there were many and I don't care if this upsets management because I'd rather take the heat for talking about this than any of them. I don't care what people think of me. I don't give a shit. But there were many disagreements as to what to do with Dalton. For a long time, he wasn't happy in UWA, even though all he said most of the time, especially to me, being the person that really put him on the map, and you can argue saying I didn't, but I did. Um, he wasn't happy for a while, regardless of the injury or whatever else he had going on, and he felt like a third wheel in the CJ and Slade feud when that was the whole point. Because I'm not gonna say what follows Unleashed because we're still in the middle of what's actually gonna happen now.
Yeah, don't pull a
But
Craven Rage on us on air.
but Dalton was originally supposed to win the world title in the fall, and he complained about it.
Mm.
But the thing about it is, ever since his injury and when the triple threat match happened, Dalton was practically throwing up in the ring and needed help getting up. For a solid 15 minutes to 20 minutes, he couldn't walk. Like for real. He couldn't stand on his own 2 feet and he was laying there. So we couldn't do anything else with him. But he was complaining about his placement in the company, but we were looking out for his well being. But apparently, we're the Antichrist for that. So he said that he wasn't happy and he wanted to do something different. I offered up this, the Heritage Championship that I busted my ass off for, that I didn't need to drop to Dalton, but I was willing to do out of the respect he's given, out of the respect that he gave me an opportunity in BYCW and all
Right, for the
those things he
BYCW
said.
title match, what you're referring
Yeah,
to.
and
Yep.
it was all going to be a callback, and we were going to do this big story, and Dalton was going to go on this run.
Right.
So we were going to do that, and then there was an issue about travel for his means of transportation. No one was mad at him. Not a single person blamed him, and we told him not to worry about it. We even told him to take some time off to heal from the injury because it was clear to us he hadn't healed. Not to mention, he came on this platform before and said he was having more fun in TBW than he was in
Yes,
UWA.
he was
So,
here about 2 months ago, right after. In fact, he was here at his birthday. I'm pretty sure on that. And he talked
right.
about a couple things. We aired the match, and he had, as you said, made the appearance in Anniversary 7. He was also in the Resurrection Wrestling Revenge
Yeah.
Rumble, and I believe you're also referring to which I'm going to get to the man that you actually we'll get to in a few minutes with the man
Yeah.
that's the announcement with, but he was supposed to have wrestled Tristan Taylor, which he was the last PWF uprising to make that into the
Yeah.
PWF Mid South
Yeah.
Champion. So a lot of moving parts there, and I think that's why that situation is kind of complicated a little bit. That's how I read it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, where was I with this?
Well,
So,
you were talking about the fact that he came on here and
yeah,
he had
so he
just
came on here. He said he was having more fun in TBW than UWA, which clearly there's been always been this long-standing problem. And people can look at Jake for this, however, or management or whatever. But people who end up trying to work both shows, they end up picking TBW over most of the time, which screws over UWA, and then get mad when they get released
why do you think
because,
that is, in your opinion, that they choose TBW or objectively speaking over UWA?
well,
Why do you?
maybe it's because of the numbers, maybe it's because of the atmosphere, or maybe some of them are scared to leave that environment for whatever happens behind the scenes. I'm not going to get into the whole who they are in real life, and because I'm not trying to turn this into a let's bash TBW. I'm over that thing. This
Okay.
isn't me coming at TBW.
Obviously, no, no, no. I don't want it to go into that. I think people wanted to know, and I had people ask me about the UWA situation, and my opinion is always this: look, I'm not a wrestler. I don't know the backstage politics. I can only say from what I've experienced with the platform. I've enjoyed working with UWA. I find everybody that's been here from UWA, I think we've had a very good relationship on Sportswire.
Absolutely.
Obviously, people know my relationship with TBW, but I'm not a wrestler. The only thing I
Right.
can speak on is that I like Dalton a lot. Dalton is been on the platform, and I'm going to be totally upfront. He'll be back on Sportswire. I have no doubt that he will be. But you're the champion. You're obviously a guy that represents the company, and that's why, I thought at the very least I had to ask you, and it kind of matches what I thought you would say, because the CJ
Mhm.
situation seems like he said some things that is different than Dalton. But let me ask you though. Let me
We're
ask you
halfway
one.
there with the Dalton thing, by the way. We haven't even
Okay,
gotten into the full thing. And
we'll
I'm
get to
sorry
that.
this
Yeah.
is taking so long,
No,
but
no, no, no.
there's
It's
so
a
much to
very
unpack.
important. I know, but go ahead. You got the floor.
So when he decided to go to work with TBW, like, and I want to make this very clear. Jake has never said to anyone once not to go there. So this whole thing that Jake has a grudge or feels some kind of way about it or XYZ, it's not true. Okay? He's even said to me that he doesn't care if I go there cuz he understands certain things about it. But I've told him that Even if that were the case, this comes first.
I think that's fine.
UWA was the first ever place that gave me an opportunity outside of my own home of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I'm always gonna. This is always gonna come
I
first, no matter
respect
what.
that. I think a lot of people would respect that too. Go ahead. You're good.
So Dalton then is talking to Jake, and he's making these rules. He's setting these rules himself that he won't do this, he won't do that, and he won't do this in regards to working both shows. He broke every single one of those rules and barely talked to us. And he told us that he wasn't going to come to the Underground Unleashed taping, meaning Okami wasn't going to be there, and wouldn't tell us about their means of transportation, which led to a whole argument because we were under the impression that they weren't going to be there, which meant we had to change plans around and that we had to figure out something else with the Underground Championship because it's not fair for a whole company to halt an entire division of storytelling and matches over one person. Like, if anyone knows about that, and this isn't even me throwing shit at him, it's ATK. Do When he won his first world championship in 2020, I had to vacate the title from him because he couldn't come to defend it during the pandemic. And he came back and got a rematch. You just move forward. You just move on. That's
Sure.
what you're supposed to do. And he
Absolutely.
and Dalton fired Southern Viking earlier this year for the same shit because he was PWF Uprising champion and he was no showing tapings. So I don't know why he's acting like a child over us having to make a call that's for the entire business. And they're like, "Oh, well, you should have talked to us about it." You don't answer your phone. We were in a chat talking with Okami about the entire thing. And guess what, Tom? It took him 30 minutes to respond to every single message. But they wonder why didn't you talk to me? Can we?
But to confirm, Jake never said to them, "Hey, if you want to go to TBW," or Dalton was in Resurrection, he was in the Revenge Rumble.
No.
It was
He
never
never
talked.
once said that they weren't allowed.
Okay. No, I think it's a.
He's never said that to any of them. He never said that to Chaos or Chaotic. He never said it to Joe. He never said it to Mike. He never said it to anybody. Not a single person. Even the people that are on the roster now. He doesn't exclude people.
And you were obviously a part of ROEW and you were in XCW. There was never a talk for
No,
you. Hey, you were never anything
no,
with that, right?
no, like not at
Okay, no,
all.
no. Listen, I don't know. I mean, that's why I think people, which I look. I know Jake. I like Jake. I
Yeah,
know people are gonna have their opinions. Jake and I've never had a problem with Jake. I don't know the backstage stuff. It's not for me to comment on. I have no jurisdiction on that. But I I was wondering for the people. So you've been in different places, and it was never said
there
don't
was
go
never a
there.
problem. There was never
Okay,
a problem because I always communicated with Jake, and I always said that whether I have this or not, this comes first. I fulfill
okay.
my obligations because that's what you're
And I
supposed to
think
do.
people, as a champion, I'm always a belief, whether it's any Fed, if you have that title, you represent that company. So,
Right.
Okami champion, and that championship is null and void then. Now, that's obviously something that you won't really want to see in wrestling, and that puts the company in a difficult position. But it
Right.
sounds to me then that these things really aren't indicative of the atmosphere in UWA. It seems to me like that
No,
UWA, there
listen.
is growth and there is improvement then from what you're
No,
seeing.
there is, and I'm sick and tired of UWA and Jake especially getting a bad rep when he we haven't really done anything wrong, and all we do is any other decision that any other company and any other business owner would made. And the fact that Dalton, who runs BYCW, has done the same thing and is getting mad at us for making the same choice he made says a lot about Dalton. It really says a lot about who he really is as a person. And I'm not saying you people shouldn't like him or support him, but you think for almost being in this for 10 years, he would have picked up a thing or two, which clearly he can't pick up that many subscribers unless someone like me is on his channel, but that's a whole different conversation of how mid he really is. And it's like, I'm tired of being nice about stuff like that and giving opportunities and working with people like that that show their true colors and prove that they don't deserve it. It's people like that, and it's people like Thorne, and it's people like Aries, and it's people like Reeves, and it's people like even ATK sometimes that make me sick. Because they just show that they're more so in it for themselves and that they can't properly and appropriately conduct business, and yet they expect X, Y, and Z. And they complain and they complain and they bitch. And dude, it
And it
pisses
also
me
sounds
off.
like, see, you would have it as we hear with Aaron Blaze, of course, the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He's the UWA Heritage Champion and the Chaos Championship Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. He's now a 17-time champion. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in here on Sportswire Radio. If you have not yet, please hit the sub button for us. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers at Sportswire Radio 657. And so you sympathize then also with Jake in the sense that you're an owner also. You have a Fed that's been
Yes,
very successful. So you, in a way, come at it from a different standpoint than others that are in a locker room because you're an
yeah.
owner of a Fed. So maybe that's where you see things differently almost, right?
Absolutely, because sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do if you want the business to grow. If I
Sure.
just relied on the 20 amount of people that have screwed me over in the past 6 years, nothing would have ever gotten done. We wouldn't have hit 13 over 1,300 subscribers. We wouldn't have achieved any of the milestones that we have. We wouldn't have all these connections that we have. We wouldn't have been recognized by you. If I stuck by all of these people that weren't going to help me and help my guys that actually cared, we would be going absolutely nowhere. That's just the God's honest truth. And I don't know why people want to come at Jake or want to view what I'm saying as like a negative, whatever
Well,
the
you
heck.
would,
It's
and I
just
want to
like,
say this much. You have said on this platform that you have been telling Jake, and Jake said here about things that the company can improve upon. Brett Anderson and Will Jackson were here, and, I think there was an effort, at least it seems, to try to improve things on the company. I think that the
yeah,
viewership is improved. I think subscribership is up. I know people would say, oh, well, subscribership's always up, but I think there is an effort. I mean, Jake was here. He was very adamant about some of the advice that you give him. And, Brett and Will were very, very complimentary towards you. I mean, look, I don't know enough of the story. I like Dalton, admittedly. Yes. Do I like Dalton? But a wrestler, look, James Taylor had a situation with TBW, and I obviously stood with James, but I also stood with TBW. So I
right.
feel like this is a situation where I would hope that people would come to a better relationship with it. It's unfortunate because Okami has the underground title. And yeah, it's like the whole Bret Hart situation in WWF once upon a time. He's the world champion, he's leaving the company, and
Screw job. But in this
yeah,
sense, we were
it's
kind
not
of
a
the ones that were
job.
screwed.
It's what's really happened from what you guys are telling me is more like the situation, if you were going to defend Vince McMahon at the time, was that he's got my title. He's not going to be under contract for me much longer. And I have to take the title off him because of something from what you guys are telling me is what you guys would fear as a company is that he
Right.
could walk with that title and go show up somewhere. I don't know enough. Could Okami have showed up in TBW? Could he have showed up in another Fed as a champion? I don't know, but that's a fear that why Vince McMahon, from his vantage point, why he did what he did to Bret Hart. Or Jeff Jarrett was the Intercontinental Champion once upon a time in WWF. His contract expired, and he basically forced, according to some, basically an extortion of a lucrative amount of money in order for him to drop the championship. So there's always that situation. We saw the Craven Rage situation twice where basically he extracted his management power to grant himself a championship. And maybe in a way, what's happened to you guys is what people fear in the circuit, whether you're in a pro level like WWE or in other places. So it's unfortunate. And I would hope before we change into the announcement of UWA that everything, though, it seems like from what you're saying that UWA is getting an unfair kind of picture being painted. And at least with the CJ situation, I think it's a different one. I agree with you. I
Yeah.
feel like I've spoken to CJ. I think whatever happens, it'll happen. But when it comes to Dalton and Okami, from what you're telling me, that it's a different picture than what people have been fed, basically.
Absolutely, and I want to make this disclaimer right now. Um, Okami was more sensible and respectful out of the two. Like, at least he actually took the time to talk to us and explained and wasn't a little crybaby bitch about
What
the whole
about the
thing.
talk on Instagram about comments being deleted? I don't know enough about that, but
Yeah, so he we wanted to keep this whole thing isolated. We
Sure.
didn't want the whole thing to be publicized into what it became within a certain degree, because like the fans don't need to know what goes on
I know
behind
it
the
becomes
scenes.
a and
Yeah.
I agree with you because what happens then is it becomes a slippery slope, and what you guys
Yeah,
were
and then it
trying.
becomes a he said she said
Well, what
thing,
you
and
guys
I'm
were
just
really
like,
trying to you were trying to prevent what the I hate to keep bringing up Craven Rage,
no, you're fine.
but that's what people fear because he came on here and said, "Yeah, well, I'm doing this," and then it was really like, WC's recovered a little bit now because they've made some adjustments, but it took that to make the adjustment. But
Yeah,
I understand from where you're coming from in a sense that you didn't want that to be in the public because you would rather have, I
settled
don't
it
know again.
behind closed doors.
Right.
How it
I
should
don't
have
know
been.
enough of the details. I have no issues with anybody with it. I think people as fans, I agree with you. Like as a fan, you don't really want to see what happened over the past couple days.
Yeah, and another thing is like, how was I gonna go with this?
Well, you were talking
What's
about
the
stuff
first
being in
thing?
the open, and it's unfortunate
Oh
because
yeah,
people
well,
still
you
see
keep
this
saying
decision.
the Brett and Sean thing, and it was nowhere like that. Like we weren't forcing either of them out of the company. Like I want to make that very clear. We do not exclude people
Which is
unless
what
they
I
give
asked
us a
you. I mean, I
reason.
asked you about the TBW situation. I mean, Resurrection's different. I think
Yeah,
TBW and
no.
UW, it's
Before,
documented TBW and UWA. There's like this, it's what it is.
no, the only like I guess exclusion you could say was us wanting Dalton to take time off to better suit his travel and better suit his health. But
Okay.
other than that, the door was never shown for him and Okami to leave UWA altogether.
But there
That's
is a
not what it
fear, though,
is.
if they were going to leave the company on their own volition, at least in Okami's case, he holds a title that is something of value to the company, correct? That's obviously something that would, if I were an owner, I would be concerned about that a little bit, right? If you know the deal. You've been an owner.
Yeah, no, and I think it's stupid that you'd even consider that, which many people, and I don't know how many people actually pay attention to this, but most of UWA's history were guys that originally left TBW. And some of them ended up going back. But
Anderson, Ty,
right, but the fact that
Robbie
half of
Andrews.
them left, but the fact that half of them left and a handful of them, you know, came back with UWA, that speaks a lot of volumes, don't you think? Like it's a cycle. Like some people pick up something that they don't like, leaves a sour taste in their mouth, and then they realize that maybe this wasn't as bad as they thought it was, and maybe the people within this genuinely
Well, it's
care
like
about
in
those
life.
people.
It's like in life. I'll get to the comments. I know a lot of people want to talk, but it's like if you left somewhere and you kind of badmouthed it, but then not comparing, but it's like if you left somewhere and then you thought it would be the grass is greener on the other side, you went, you know what?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've had situations in life where I looked back and I went somewhere and I wasn't happy, and then I realized sometimes it's what's in front of him. So okay, so I'm gonna get to the announcement because I do want to get
Yeah,
to that.
you're good.
I think we cleared that. I think obviously, Dalton will be on Sportswire at some point. I want to be upfront on that. He reached out before this, actually completely before this. So I don't know how soon this was to happen, but I had reached out. He had reached out to me. We
Yeah.
had a conversation, but
Oh
this
wait, by the way,
yes.
way to spell carrier, dipshit, or career. He tried to say this was my UWA career, and he said carrier,
Well, there are
which
people
goes to
that are
show his level of intelligence is pretty much
well.
non-existent half the
Well,
time.
I don't
Sorry,
think
not
he. I
sorry.
don't. Well, if I put it to you like this, I don't think he would have been one of my classmates in my law class. But that's a different conversation for a different time. But I like
Maybe
Dalton a
in
lot. I'm
smoking
gonna move.
pot and whatever he does, but sure.
Well, my professor was a judge. He was
Yes, he
literally a judge,
was.
so I don't think that was going to happen. But a different conversation for a different time. Yes, Jake is here. No matter what, CJ is my best friend. That match has so much on the line. Yeah, I think the CJ situation, totally different situation. I think that's
Yeah.
I think been explained. This guy is so good. I give him 3 of my Hall of Fames. Well, I don't know if he give you 3 of them, but when he gets to 17, he might. I can't, but I so what if I could. One of the best at what we do, and always the most cordial and courteous backstage. There you go.
Thanks.
Just my
Thank you,
champion
Jester.
says that. I got a lot more comments.
Until you come
But
at my guys, I will turn into Lucifer himself.
Yeah, well, I don't think Justin's had an issue with
Oh
them.
no,
I think
he
he's
won't
got his
because
own
he's not
issue
an
with
idiot.
Soldier and the PWF title. And thank you. Yes, thank you very much for the shirt. I appreciate that, and I look forward to wearing it. I can't wait to wear it the whole weekend. Although our relationship has been strained, I wish him the best no matter what. Same with Okami. He's referring to Dalton, my buddy Comatose, who just shared our link on Instagram.
Comatose, thank you,
I
Comatose.
love Comatose. Love this guy. He's gonna be here, by the way, winking and nod in a couple weeks. But
Ooh,
he's a good. He was here Monday night. He's a good one. He's a good one. He's one of the good ones. He also gave me a shirt with my name on it.
nice.
Congratulations to you, Aaron. He mentioned you on I think Monday's show about he would like to wrestle you one day. Yes, he did. Yes, Comatose, another traveler. Preach. My friend Jacob Frost is in the house, by the way, another BTW guy. I don't see why people want titles in the yard or like if you don't give me the world title or whatever, I won't come like it means. I think he's talking about the Dalton Okami situation. I think that's what he's kind of referring to a little bit, maybe. I don't know if
I mean,
that's
I guess, but it's like you can't be a victim and a martyr at the same time. You can't complain about your spot and then have people willing to offer up what they're doing just to make sure you're satisfied, and then you're still bitching about it. Like, grow up, dude. Grow the fuck up.
yeah, I mean, look, it's what it is, and I want to say that Mr. Frost, good to see you, and hope to see you on Sportswire very soon. And again, if you're here, hit the sub button for us. Yes, we say hello. Zilla's got the usual comments. I'm in a Facebook chat
Thank you,
right now,
Zilla.
and I see like 30 people asking who Zilla is, and I'm like, I don't know. That's the question we all want to say. Regardless of if titles won or matter or not, Aaron Blaze is worthy of fighting for any in the yard. There you go. See, I told
Thank you.
you. Comatose and Aaron Blaze would be another match. Maybe that could happen at Backyard Havoc. Comatose, how far are you from Bremen, Ohio, by the way? What are you doing, Comatose, November 9th to 10th? And what are you doing November 9th to 10th? Mr. Frost would like to say Blaze is one of the people that has improved so much in the yard and would love to face him, whether in BTW or somewhere else with whatever. See,
Thank you.
but now you noticed, right? That BTW reference, the BTW movement in Oregon. They would love
Yeah,
to see you in Oregon. And that's a company, again, a very credible company, a lot of followers,
a lot
a
of
lot of
history.
good things, a lot of travelers, 9-year history. They've traveled, they have a good atmosphere. Navon McDonald, they traveled to. I
I
mean,
was 10 when they started. Holy fuck.
2015. Yep.
God, I
3,000,
was
and they'd have
10.
more subs. One of their pages was taken off, and they had to restart. So they really
And they did have to restart. They did.
solid company. This is a solid, and they have I say it all the time, a solid product, just solid. Like I said, the Tampa Bay Rays of the backyard circuit. Everybody plays and they do well. As far as the belt, it was about the division. A lot of our newer guys could use it, which is referring to
Yeah.
the underground title. Okay, so I got that
God
out of the way. I
forbid.
think we're
God
good on that.
forbid.
But the announcement that I think I do want to talk to you about before I get to the other topics here in the remaining time is that my friend, actually a friend of mine, actually challenged you and called you out. Now, this friend of mine,
What?
his name is Tristan Taylor of the UWA. Tristan Taylor, who is actually the owner of the PWF Mid South, and I had noticed on my YouTube notifications he had called you out. Now, I was wondering for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, what you think about Tristan Taylor. He's obviously a man that also has a lot of history and a man that, I'm sure you definitely know a little bit about. And what's your impressions on that for those that are listening and watching? He literally just about, I don't know, less than an hour ago, he called you out. As a matter of fact, I can pull it even up on the screen.
Yeah, are you able to play the video? Because this
I
is news to me.
actually can. I was wondering because I know Jake would certainly love to let me play it. Jake, can I play the video? I don't think Jake
Yeah,
will kill
Jake.
me.
Jake. Let him play this because this is news to me. I actually
I
didn't.
think Jake's gonna give me. Is Jake gonna give me the green light? Is Jake? Am I okay with it? Well, too bad, too late.
Apparently wasn't my night. But you know what? Slade, I told you.
He looks like Kendall from Big Time Rush let himself go.
So it's not over. Till death do us part. Remember
Okay, so he's got his crush
that.
on Slade. Big deal.
But lucky for you, I got a backup plan.
What are you, Seth Rollins? Plan B? Like what?
Plan B.
You're kidding me.
Just so everybody can read it.
God,
Heritage Championship match at Underground Unleashed.
you're kidding.
Direct from E.T.
What? Oh my god.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Aaron Blaze. You're next. Plan B.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. You got Tristan Taylor, and boy, I might put in another awkward situation because he's the owner of the
Okay, is
PWF
this
Hotel.
real? Okay,
No, it's real. It's real.
Is this really authorized by ET, or is the dude losing his mind because he keeps on losing? That's what I want to know.
Well, he signed it in front of you. This is who you have it unleashed.
Okay, please tell me UWA management is in this, because oh god,
I mean, I see the numbers have perked up in the chat. I know I have a lot of comments. I have some people that want to say a few things. I'll get to them, but Tristan Taylor, a man that he's obviously a guy that's held gold, and he's a guy that's coming for you now. And Jake confirmed it's real.
God,
he confirmed that ET can do that. He has authority, and there you go.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh Jesus! Okay, guys, Aaron Blaze will be fighting another obsessed fan. Here we go. My god. I keep getting surrounded in these. Okay, so he comes back after his hiatus, fails at a shot for the world championship, and now he wants to fight me? Now he wants this Heritage Championship back? Now he wants a match? Now he wants to fight me? I've been saying this for months, Tom. Months. You've been with me on this. He's been ducking me. He's been ducking me.
4 months.
I've been opening the door for the boy to come knocking, and he hasn't even stepped on the front doorstep. One of the founding fathers of Brokeback Mountain doesn't want to catch the fade of Aaron Blaze. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. But now he does, because he's got nothing else better to do. I mean, the last former UWA champion of any capacity he was supposed to fight bailed and took his tail between his legs to, you know, put another belt on him or his cousin. But now he wants to fight me, a real headline, a real hardcore soldier in the game. And to be honest with you, Tom and fans, I don't take it seriously. You can get a signed contract from ET all you want, but the fact of the matter is, when I extend a challenge to someone, it should mean something. It should hold value, and you shouldn't pass it up. Because everything I say and everything I do is with purpose, it's revolutionary, and it gets people talking because I have that ability, whether people
Tonight,
like
how
me or
about
hate
tonight?
me.
Listen, tonight is you got a big turnout tonight. You got a lot of
Yeah.
people for 2 hours still there, hanging on to every word. I said it tonight throughout the show. It's good. Sportswire's back. I mean, the last couple days on Sportswire, it was since Matsuda, it's good to be back. And you definitely, the people, when you talk, people listen, and he's going after you, and we're gonna find out at Unleashed. And I mean, we're gonna see if you can continue this run. Pretty
I
much.
don't know. It's just I mean, sure, it's another title defense, but I'm not taking him seriously. I mean, I don't know. I'm just tired of working these vets that think they're so great because they have so many years, or they have much more. And this isn't me shaming them for their body weight, but they're bigger, they're more experienced, they're older, blah 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 blah. And you wanna know what happens, Tom? I beat them all. And this isn't shade, this isn't me starting drama. I beat literally all of them. Julian Void Jacob, I've beaten him. Captain Law 3 times in a row in back-to-back years, I have beaten him. Fletch, I have beaten him.
Anybody could beat Fletch, though. Let's be honest.
More or less, but it wasn't easy. I'll give the man his props. For doing this for 20 years, he still got it. He still got it. He still got what it takes. He could still prove it. Against.
Although I did love when Justin Parsley and Rob Slater put Fletch through a table on Thursdays. XCW.
Oh yeah, that was a real pricky move, but we'll
That
get
was
into
a
that
real
later.
that was a real great move. I have to say that was
But
really
like,
good. I was really happy about that one.
but with the Ducks, the Duckson, the Dustin X's, and all these other people, like even in defeat with Chris Jones and Jack Delta, I had picked these guys up or caught them in midair. I kept them guessing. I had them dead to rights.
You had Delta and Jones. Yep, Jones and
I had
Delta.
both of them. If it wasn't for Luke Blaze, I would have beaten Chris Jones. And if it wasn't for me being in my head a little bit, I would have beaten Delta. But the thing is, like, and even with Dan Moore, who was talked about recently with
Yep.
Law,
Yes, Dan Moore was the
I
guy that
pinned
was
him
brought
in
up.
the snow. I pinned him in the snow. Like, dude, I'm tired of these vets and these pros who put themselves on this pedestal, and then when I step up, I outwork them with my words, and I
Well,
outsmart them with my mind, and I outmuscle them with my fist, and I have a shittier physique than all of these guys.
well,
Like,
I
it's
mean,
just,
well,
I
we're
don't
gonna
know.
find out at Unleashed. I'll tell you that much. I think I'm very excited about this. There was a
Yeah, I
video.
mean,
I'll come back to it, but
yeah, I mean, Tristan Taylor, he can fuck around all he wants, but he's just another bitch that tried and found out that Aaron Blaze is the real ace, the real king, and the real world champion of UWA. Because ever since March up until now, for the past 5 months, for almost 140 something days, I have been proving since March 30th, match after match, moment after moment, media scrum after Sportswire radio interview, I am the real world champion. I have had more defenses in 5 months than CJ has had in almost 380 something days. I have drawn more views. I've gotten more talk. The most eyes that UWA got leading in to Final Destination 3 was with Jake and mostly me. And the better man won that
UWA is
match.
over 600
Yep.
subscribers now.
And the
UWA.
better man won that match, and the better man has been carrying the Underground Wrestling Alliance on his back the same way I did 2 years ago. But now I have the hardware to prove it.
I would say
And
what you're doing to the with UWA is, to me, I think you and Sean Jovi have a lot of similarities in that Sean Jovi right now in WCE is keeping WCE relevant. Without Sean Jovi in WCE, I think a lot of people, whether you agree or not, would look at WCE and would probably consider it a punchline. I mean, yes, Nicholas Crenson's there. Yes, James Marshall is there. There are some guys, but Sean Jovi, for better or worse, is keeping WCE alive. UWA, I think it's for good or worse, Aaron Blaze, because he's in UWA, you're keeping UWA very relevant. I think in many ways, it's very similar right now. You and Sean Joe, what you're doing for those companies, you may not be each the world champion in both companies, but what you're doing is you're kind of like, in a way, the mouthpiece. You're the draws for those two companies. So I think people still say, you know what, there's a level of, all right, Aaron's in UWA, Sean Jovi's in WCE. You can play ball with them. You can still
absolutely,
go out there. And I think, again, I know your styles are totally different in ring, but I think that there's an unfair for both companies, whether you agree or not, that they get a stigma. But because of you guys, you're keeping the companies going and keeping them relevant, which I'm very happy about that. And I want people to follow the UWA because they're on YouTube. Please hit the sub button for them. I'll go to the video later. I think people got the point of the video, but that's their YouTube page. Hit the sub button for them. Let's go out and support those that support us. I got a lot of comments I want to get to.
let's get back to him. I'm all
There's
for it.
plenty of them. Let me see here. Boom, boom, boom. Blaze will be fighting for a world championship soon. Cough, cough. Well, I guess we'll find out, right? I mean, I guess time will
Guess number
tell.
20's out there.
I would love
And
to have you on Sportswire Radio. I'm on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. I don't know if we're on Instagram friends, but if you're on Instagram, hit me up and we can talk after the show. I definitely would
he
love
is. He
to
just
put you on.
changes the name of his account every 5 minutes. No, no
Yeah,
hate,
because I
Jake. I
feel
love you.
like that I might follow you on Instagram, but I have to check. Unfortunately, when you have almost 2,000 followers, it's I have to go
It's
through the
hard to
list.
navigate.
Hard to catch up. Yep, and TikTok, I'm going that way too. Yes, that would definitely be something, Blaze and Frost. And boy, would I turn into that. Oh, I'd see. There you go. Guys are fired up tonight. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, he's talking about the
I think they're talking about the UWA video, and they're talking about Blaze versus Taylor.
which we just went through. Yep. BTR is a great boy band. Yeah, big time Rush. Yeah. Tristan, unfortunately, what he's gonna do will be more about his speaking in the ring, is what I got. His speaking is still
He's
more in
gonna
the
be
ring.
speaking loser after Unleashed, which is basically
Well,
what he's already
if it's
walking
the
into the
same outcome as
sacrifice.
Sammy Slade and him, then you would certainly be correct. And I think a lot of people are going to bet on you for sure. Jake doesn't like his whispering. It's so zesty. Is that still a soap bar? There are some kind of weird video. Yeah, it's got a weird vibe. James Taylor said he's the only real Taylor in wrestling. He's not related to Tristan Taylor. It's actually come up on prior shows. This actually came up before. No, it actually came up before. And
Plot twist,
Abraham
they're related.
It's funny. Battle of the Taylors. Yeah, James might actually want that. Wouldn't be much of a battle, with all due respect. Well, how about Aaron Blaze and the Nemesis one day? I want to come back to that because I want to get to ROEW and YBW for the remaining minutes. You never know. New head versus old head. Preach it. I delete my account every 5 minutes. Get it right. Well, I'm on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. I would hope that we can connect and I can get you on Sportswire Radio in the next week or two, because I think I'm going to have some openings next weekend now, unfortunately, because there's some news I'm not going to share on the air about a
Oh, I
wrestling
think
show.
I know what it is.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to
Is it
leave
what
that.
we talked about?
I would just say I'm going to keep it off the airs, but I will have an opening if Mr. Frost wants to come on here. Okay, so
Mid.
I'm going to take this off the air, and I do want to talk to you about ROEW. I'll leave YBW for the last 10 or 15 minutes, but
Yes, sir.
ROEW, C Money mentions you, and we had a hell of a match between you and him. I'll put it up for a few minutes on ROEW TV.
I'm really proud.
You spoke about ROEW when you were here a month ago. I mean, you kind of talked about the future. C Money definitely left it open. I know a lot of people would love to see you back in ROEW. ROEW is firing on all cylinders. I say it all the time. ROEW is maybe my favorite backyard wrestling company right now, by hands down. I love everybody on that comes on here. Underground I view differently, but ROEW, I mean, it's like, to me, they're just the hottest thing going right now. And I have to ask that this is a company that's just almost at 1,000 subs. DKW's there. You got BYW, Jack Delta. You helped that company. James is there. So, I mean, what's going on in ROEW? What did you think of what C Money had to say, and just overall impressions, at least for a few minutes, on ROEW?
So I didn't fully catch what he said because I've been running errands like crazy, like you wouldn't
I'll
believe.
put it up on the screen. We'll talk about, but go ahead. You were saying while I do that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. There's gonna continue to be a working relationship there, and funny enough, I've extended that olive branch to some members on the um YBW roster to help further better their craft and get their name out there as well, but they'd rather ignore me and do a knockoff of what I did last year with Indiana, but we're not gonna
I see. Okay. Well, I think I know who that is. I'm gonna not ask much about that because I already know who it is. But C Money
versus Dark Crown for the Prestige Championship. It is finally almost over. I have been through hell to get here, okay? I versed my brother, CJ Black, who tried to rip my own arm off. But I caught him slipping with the cash advance. 1, 2, 3. Move on to the next round. I versed the headline, Aaron Blaze, who is all about making more moments. And let me tell you, him and we made some moments. But I caught him slipping with the cash advance too. 1, 2, 3, it's over. I'm on to the finals. On the other side, you got Dark Crown versus Forsaken. Forsaken tried to rip his own. Going to be the very best. No questions asked.
So, I mean, what's the future there? I mean, he mentioned you. Is there? So you said working relationship still, and the door's very open for you in ROEW still.
Absolutely, it's just a matter of what I do next, because That's always the million billion dollar question of after I get this big win or after I take a big loss or numerous wins or numerous losses, where does Aaron Blaze go? Because I'm always going to be that guy that someone likes to put in the middle of it. And like I said, there's before I can think of picking up some ROEW gold in any capacity, because I am not done with that story with Delta. I do believe I am the one. It's just going to take some time. But in the meantime, there is a certain someone that guy who I'm about to hit a flying forearm on knows very, very well that isn't exactly a good guy, if you catch my drift. And
I
you
know who he
see,
is.
let's just say you can have as many stars of as you want. You are still a world-class douche canoe, and I would love nothing more than to declip your sails and knock you down a peg. Because I did
Ooh.
not like what happened to my friend, someone who I respect, and his dad, Jacob Collins. I'm not a big fan of that. And if BYW really thinks that they run this community, I want Delta, I want JX, and I want Collins to know they have somebody to call if they need an extra hand. Since Big
Ooh.
Man Cam, no offense, can be 3 other people at once, you're looking at the guy that can even up the score and cut him down in
Ooh.
size.
Well,
So Delta, he can deal with Big Man, Tuna Can, Sam Man, whatever his name is, and someone can have a match made to dethrone Storm in his mid-state championship.
that guy could do that. He could do that. He's here tomorrow, by the way. He is here tomorrow to probably do some of that, I'm sure.
But if there's anyone that's good enough to take out a good guy, you're looking at the guy that is the future, the past, and the present of this community, and doesn't need 7 stars to prove it because he's the shining, brightest one in this entire wrestling movement. So
Well, I'll
let
tell
that
you
be
what,
known.
the door is definitely open for Aaron Blaze and ROEW, and I think a lot of people are very happy about that. I think whatever the future comes, we'll have to find out. You can follow ROEW Backyard Wrestling. James will be here at some point tomorrow. He has a major announcement related to ROEW. So I think
Good.
we'll all be excited about that. It could be you, could be something else. I don't know what it is. I know James, when he always has an announcement, it's always big on Sportswire. You know, it's guys like you and James, when they come on to Sportswire, we know that the community and the people turn out. So it's going to obviously be a huge crowd. And we definitely want to see you and C Money run it back. Jake just
Well,
DM'd me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think we spoke on Instagram. I apologize if we haven't connected yet, Abraham, to get you on, but I
it's
can
fine.
definitely.
You'll get there.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely get on the platform. I just need to get you on, and that's my apologies. I get sometimes guys that like need to come on, and there are other things, but I think I have a couple of openings that are going to come up here soon because of something. I'll tell Aaron about it off the air, but we'll go with that. Okay, so ROEW stuff is good to go. Obviously, this was a hell of a match. Obviously, C Money, definitely like to run it back with you. You'd obviously like to run it back, and Mr. Frost would love to go to ROEW, and I'd love to see Mr. Frost, and I'm going to have Mr. Frost on this platform maybe next weekend. Actually, now that I think I'm going to have an opening next weekend because the slot I was supposed to be in doesn't make any sense now. So that'll obviously be something I can talk
Ed.
to him off the air. So if he's here, if Mr. Frost is available the same time you are here, Aaron, we can make that happen actually next Saturday night. So we can definitely talk about that. Okay, I think the match I'm going to take off the screen because it's a great match.
No.
Well, if you want me to keep it up, because I do want to talk about YBW. I do have to in the remaining
Oh yeah,
time.
that's true.
I have to get to YBW because I really have to get to it. But it's what it is. I mean, look, C Money's been on a hot run. He's beat Titan, he's beaten CJ. I mean, he's had some huge wins, and he's a guy that Darkron's going to have to contend with. And look, it's anybody's game. I think that there's no question that the way the match ended, that you guys both have a respect for each other. You guys are both tremendous competitors, and I think you guys could definitely run it back pretty much. Anything else you want to add on that before I do get to the final topic?
Nope, it's just in defeat, and this applies to anywhere and for everybody. In defeat, you learn how to acquire victory. Not every loss is a bad thing, and it can also lead to a good thing. So that's the attitude I am gonna go in with ROEW especially, and boy
Well,
have I picked up a lot.
well, you definitely have, and I'm excited about ROEW. And I made the announcement, by the way, when James was here with Jason, that when ROEW hits 1,000 subscribers, I'm inducting ROEW into the Hall of Fame, and I would expect you to be a part of that ceremony because I was told that ROEW roster members were invited. All of them were invited. That includes CJ Black to Aaron Blaze. So I heard that ROEW roster members are all invited, and we know ROEW is going to hit 1,000 because you guys are at almost 900. So I think we're going to have that ceremony sometime next month. So I'm excited about that. We'll see you with that as well. And please follow ROEW Backyard Wrestling. Also, we have, when BTW hits 3,000 subs, I have a proclamation for them. So we have a lot of cool stuff ahead. I'm going to take this off the screen for now and get to the final topic because, boy, is there a lot to talk about in YBW. You've got a big match coming up. You've got the Chaos Championship Wrestling belt you've talked about. You got the hardcore situation and a lot of moving parts upcoming in YBW. And let's talk about it for our audience as I put the YBW links up here shortly.
Yeah. So our last event already happened. It was Heat Wave, and I'm actually not on the card for our next upcoming show, which is Rise
Yep.
of Champions, August 25th. Part of it's
2 weeks from
advertised on
tomorrow.
our website, but I need to update that. But anyhow, lost at Heat Wave to Monstruck, losing another chance at the Breakouts title. Almost got my neck broke in that match. Got whipped with a leather belt wrapped in barbed wire.
Well,
Got a
you are, after all,
screwdriver.
for those that don't know, a 18 or 19 time hardcore champion. So, I mean.
Yeah, got a screwdriver in my head and smacked with a barbed wire kendo stick, bleeding. So for all of you hardcore fans out there you go. But we're gonna ignore how the show is glitching all the way through, even though it was fine when the file came out. But apparently it did good, seeing as how it almost has
I was
2,000 views in the span of a
one of
week
the
and a half.
big, and I was going to ask you, one of the bigger YBW shows in a while view wise. This was you had a big turnout for this one. 40 something likes, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. It's the second show this year to hit 1,000 in the 2024 season, but it's the most viewed show. Um, Nightfall hit 1,000 instantly, but this was a bit different. 5 match card, 3 title matches. Me regretting taking my shirt off in a backyard full of grass and itching to death. But yep, there's me getting a screwdriver to the head right before a certain someone almost broke my neck. And no, seriously. And I hope this part plays. Oh wait, there's the kendo stick shot. But yeah, they go for like a leg drop or a big boot or whatever, and their like calf catches my neck, and you can, I don't know if you can hear it crack, but I hear it crack, and I'm instantly
I
out of
have
the
the
chair,
volume low. Yeah.
and I'm holding it, and
That's
I'm
the
just
second
like,
time someone's been bleeding.
please mute it. I hate the commentary. It's so bad.
I would prefer to actually mute it because what happens is people, they want to hear you talk. So Nicholas
Yeah,
Prince made that mistake on Thursday's show, but we can move on from that.
yeah, but Did it happen after this? I'm not sure. I don't know. But this whole match was a cluster, and ironically was supposed to get retaped, but it didn't. Um, but no, I'm very proud of how Heatwave turned out for not just me, but for everybody, especially Magnum Carter making his YBW debut, um, Dominic getting back into the world title scene, which he deserves. I'm very proud of how far he's come as a wrestler and where Magnum Carter is going to go. And I think that the matches leading in to Rise of Champions, maybe you'll see the rise of some champions, maybe no titles will change hands, but I know that all the titles are getting redone.
I was going
And
to ask you though, with the success of the event, and I know we've talked a lot about the traveling stuff. We had some of it was, fun, some of it was serious. I think the Backyard Havoc was my most fun because I think everybody was like kind of really like excited about that. The ROEW situation we kind of went over already. UWA was kind of, a sensitive subject at times, but when you're in your own company and you have this much success, does it make you in a way say, you know what? Do I want to travel as much as I do? Does that impact you at all? Knowing that, I'm at home. If I just stay in my own fed, I got all the success I'm having here. I go to other places and, they're not having maybe the same amount of success, whether you agree or not, as this event just had.
well, the thing about that is I do have faith in my show growing on its own. But the thing is, I I don't like staying within my own bubble. And I want to get into a point where I can have all these people do all these things for my promotion because I still like telling story. I still like editing. I still like writing. I still like um, creating a whole realm of opportunity and other stuff for other people. Like how I didn't really have those things coming up in this community. Like I want to give to those people. And I have taken kind of a step back from doing anything major. Like I haven't been world champion in my show for 3 years.
You spoke about this here before, and you've been very adamant about that. Very adamant about that.
Right. Well, because like for years I've had people be like, "Well, he just gives himself 9 trillion titles in his own fed and blah 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 blah." And it's like, well, when only 3 of your world title wins are planned and you somehow magically end up with 7, and you work with what you got in the sense of, mass characters and a limited roster of other people, you got to give the devil his due when, because I don't like making this whole thing about myself. This is a whole team effort. And I want these guys, like, you see Unit X being our referee.
Mm-hmm.
You see Indian Warrior being one of the camera people. You see Dom in the background. You have someone as Monstruck. Like I want all of these guys to be a part of this family that I've created. I also want to give them the chance to evolve, but when they're fully ready. Like I treat YBW as a business because it has evolved into so much.
You got
But
1,300. We said it in the speech, 1,300 plus subs,
yeah,
300,000 plus views. And, you're growing names now, Dominic and Monstruck and Magnum Carter was in the chat. You're growing some like guys and it doesn't get talked upon. That's why I was like wondering, do you want to just focus ever on your own fed only because you're going to these other places? And again, this is no shit, any of them.
yeah,
UWA does not have the success that it has. ROEW now, I think, is getting there. I mean,
getting
ROEW
there.
is, you feel ROEW is getting there. Okay, that's, XCW isn't really, I got to be honest, XCW is not as big as YBW. XCW has this, XCW is bigger than a lot of people think, but it's not as big as really that image. It's because the subscriber count is barely ahead of YBW and, their viewership is less than YBW. So you've gone to places,
In some cases.
in some cases, but really,
But I get what you're
XCW
saying,
gets.
like the overall arching
It's
viewpoint of
not a
it.
shade on it. This is not a shade. This is
No,
the
it's not shade on
numbers.
them at all. But recently, they have been
XCW.
doing a lot better than us, and I commend them for that because they
Well, I'll
weren't
be
having some
honest. They're
troubles at the
coming on
start of the year.
Sportswire. I'm going to be honest. They're here on Sportswire. WCE has gotten a shot back in the arm because Craven Rage stopped talking. I mean, ALW's come on here. They listen. BTW's gotten a nice little push because they're here. It's what it is. I mean, but the facts are is that leave aside who's good, who's not. You have a company that you are building, no ring, no anything, and you got all these views, and that's why I just asked because you're starting to have some guys that you're building here, and some of them go with you to UWA. You know, do you ever say, why don't I just if I stay all day in my own fed? 1,300 plus subs is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a lot of subscribers. I mean, that's more subs than some companies that come on here. And that's why I was like, you know, wondering. And even Ashley said, Trinity, XCW has
Almost
done
broke my
its
neck.
best, but, well, I see it right there. And still trying to figure out why they're struggling for views. I mean, my opinion on why they're struggling for views, I think social media needs to improve in XCW. When the guys come on here, you got to get people on social media. You got to get guys plugging Instagram, TikTok. I mean, I had a conversation with a British wrestler about that. That's the key is social media. You got to get everybody. And there's a lot of guys there that don't have social media. Eric Mason's your champion. Does he even have an Instagram?
He does.
He don't use it. I mean, how many followers does he have? 100? I mean, really?
I think it was like 200 something. I
Yeah, and
saw
that's
his
the whole
pro.
key.
Ironically, and the only reason I know this information is because I saw his profile earlier today
No,
because they
I'm not
just pre-taped
knocking Eric.
SummerMania
Listen,
19.
I'm not knocking Eric Mason. It's not a knock on XCW, but like independent wrestlers overseas asked me today, what do you think why I could do things better? And it's social media. Aaron Blaze is a known name on social media. He's a known figure. He's a draw. He's a household name. Jack Delta, James Taylor, they're household names. Sean Jovi has a big following on YouTube. Do the math. The companies that have household names that people go to, they flock to them. Atomic Titan, Joshua Allen, ESW, right? Osiris. I mean, Austin G. I mean, Law is known on XCW, okay, but he's known more outside of XCW. D'Angelo LaFlame is with Resurrection. He's known he helps Resurrection get views. I think that's a big part of it, but that's not the point. The point is that I asked you, in a match like this gets that much success, an event has that much success, but we've got some big stuff ahead for YBW. We have the championship belt. You spoke about that.
Yep, all the belts are gonna get a whole new look for after Rise of Champions. So whoever the champions are after the matches will be awarded the brand new custom titles. And we are looking into picking up something that we purchased not too long ago. It's just a matter of when and where. And it's another game changer for Young Breakout Wrestling. We have CCW Chaos that will be done twice a month, and that's going to be a regular thing. And whoever's the CCW champion will be featured into the mainstream platform for our special events, starting either after Rise of Champions or for 2025 bases of content, which we already have the schedule of events and other things laid out for that as well.
And for the audience, you want to go support YBW. They're on YouTube, YBW 2018. I will put the website up toward the end of the show. I'm actually going to keep that up for the entire 10 or 15 minutes we have left after this. So please support YBW. And I'm going to make the announcement here for those that are out there on Sportswire Radio. When YBW hits 1,500 subscribers, I'm going to give YBW a certificate. I'm going to recognize YBW. So if you want to get me to 1,000 subs, and I got a sub already tonight or two, I'm sure. Thank you for that just in advance. But YBW's almost at 1,500. Let's get them there. I'm going to recognize them. They've got a lot of up-and-coming talents. They've been doing a great job. They're definitely something. And you see here, Rise of Champions. You see that stuff coming up here. Let's go support them. Let's support those that support us, and I hope that when YBW hits, we hit hard. Well, I'll tell you what, almost 2,000 people watched. I mean, that shows you, 2,000 views is a lot for a show. I mean, AWL Endgame, I think, hit like 3,000. TBW, the TBW machine is obviously known, but it's very hard to hit that many views, and it's good to see what YBW has to offer. This is their YouTube channel. I would highly recommend you hit the sub button for them. You have a lot of different links, a lot of different places of information. I'm going to get you to the YBW website so you can get to all of that here shortly. And, I think that's pretty much where we're at. Let me get to a couple of comments before I get a few final things. James Taylor is obviously wanting to know, what would you think of a match between he and him? And just what do you think? Because I put the YBW website up here in a minute.
It would certainly be a battle of generations and something you wouldn't think people would want to see. But then when it happens, people would be like, wow, this is something we needed. This is something I really wanted to see. This is something I'm genuinely going to enjoy. XYZ. I do think that wherever it would be, which I think realistically only ROEW, but I will self-admittedly say I pushed for a certain person to pay a visit here and to do it here with a bit of this, but some things are meant to work out and some things aren't, and that's just the way it is. But I am more than welcome to working with the nemesis James Taylor and creating a story out of that.
Well, I would love to see you. You want to talk about drawing? You and James Taylor would be a draw wherever that would be. I mean, I know James just came back against Steele and Gabe Sayers. That was a big deal. But you and James Taylor, I mean, that might break the internet. I mean, people talk about you and Delta, but you and Taylor, I mean, that would be, I mean, forget about you and Delta, you and Titan once upon a time. I mean, you and Taylor would be, that would not only break out the backyard, that'd break out the internet. That would literally break out the internet. That would be a match. And I want people really to go support YBW's website. August 25th is Rise of Champions. Go out there and support YBW. Look at this history. Look at this history of this company.
If you click on any single one of them, any single one of those highlights, it will take you to the event in which it happened.
Yeah, I actually can't see it on this page, but I want to put the website up more really. But that's the next show. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got X, YouTube, you got merchandise, you want to contact, you got a history page. I mean, what a beautiful website here. I mean, look at all this stuff here, and you got a chance to run it down year by year. You got TAC, obviously.
We're getting there.
We are getting there. We're going to obviously leave at that, but you got a lot of things here that, really as to why this is about all wrestling matters here on Sportswire Radio. YBW is the definition of that. The definition of that. And James wants to say Battle of Generations is an interesting name. I do have 21 years age on you. So that means James was basically
40? James is 40. Holy
he turned 40 in April. We had a 40th birthday party for him.
God, right after to be my dad.
It was actually right before you came onto Sportswire, like 2 weeks before you came on the Sportswire. We had a 40th birthday. Well, there's
also,
some guys.
There's a brand new CCW page if you look.
Yes, I actually was going to get to that. I was actually going to pull that up, and that's the CCW page, not to be confused with our Colory Championship Wrestling in the UK, and that'll be coming in September. Mr. Blaze spoke about that. What a pretty championship, and I'm very excited to see, just like what we've done with the PWF. We've resurrected the PWF. Tristan, by the way, who is one of my partners in Mid-South, and leave aside you and him wrestling at Unleashed. He has the other half of the PWF, and I, alongside Omen and Soldier, own the other part of the PWF. So we like to see these things. I own James's other PWF, the Promo Wrestling Federation, which I think James is Sean Jovi finally doing something with that. I think in Discord he said he was going to get something with that. I have no ability in the promo world, but I do have an Instagram page, which is PWF_network. Go follow it. But a lot of great stuff here. What a beautiful website. I think one of the best websites I've seen for any company.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's also another CCW section in our Hall of Champions page.
there's just so many things here. I mean, you want to read the history. I mean, there's just endless amounts of information. You've got Tack is our world champion. That one guy there, I'm going to leave no comment at that for you. Monstrux, the breakout champions. Ravens, the breakout in the case. You're the CCW world champion. We've got just what a legacy here. Just a list of great names here. Everybody knows Phantasma, Voldor. I mean, Dominic's in there. Everybody knows.
Voldemort, not Voldemort.
I
It's
can't.
Phantasma Voldemort.
I'm a New
No,
Yorker.
it's
I
okay.
can't
It's okay,
pronunciate it.
dude. You did a lot better than Dustin and ATK when I first brought that
I
whole
understand.
thing up
Well,
to
I
them.
always tell people I always have a bad problem with
No,
pronunciations.
it's okay. I do too. But
I
theirs was
equate.
so much worse.
I have a funny one. I go, well, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, so that's pretty much why. James is loving the comments. He says, I'm 40 and can run just as fast, if not faster, than most of these younger guys. And yeah, we need to have a meeting tomorrow and talk about it. Well, James is here tomorrow on Sportswire, so you know I'm going to mention that.
Phantasma Valador. That's what they said.
Phantasma
They said,
Volador.
yeah,
Phantasma
it's
Volador. There you
Phantasma
go.
Volador, but like
Volador.
4 years ago they said Phantasma Valadora, and it's like, where the
Well, I
fuck
don't
do
think
you
it's
see a
that.
Dora?
I don't
It's
think I could have did
like where
that
do you
bad
see
there.
a Dora?
Listen, I don't know, but I just know you need to support the YBW website. So
Thank
many
you.
things here. Please support them. All wrestling matters. I also want people to hit that sub button for them. Hit the sub button on YouTube. It's YBW 2018. Please hit that sub button for them. And who knows? I mean, you and Silas Walker. I mean, we spoke about that in the past. And, Silas Walker, you still interested in him?
Mhm.
All right. Well,
If he's still the global champion when I see him, I'm just gonna have to play him a sad violin song because I'm gonna take it.
well, you know what? Listen, Aaron, you tell you what, you hold such a candle. You were a podcaster once upon a time. Maybe you're the man to replace me on Sportswire. Maybe
I couldn't do it, brother. I couldn't
you
do
were
it.
a pod. You actually had, Bashing with Blaze. You had a show, very successful
Well,
one.
no, I know that, but Sportswire, I couldn't do it on your schedule, man. I'd rip my hair
Well,
out.
well, you know what? It's the grace of God. I tell people, I actually am getting it. Before we get to final thoughts, I have actually been getting people, podcasters, been asking me, well, how did you do it? I said, really, the grace of God, and just, kept going like you, man. It's the grace of God, man. The people that have chosen me and they want me here, and I'm here. But yes, when we get to
You were
1,000
the
subs,
chosen one.
maybe. But when we get to 1,000 subs, that 1,000 sub show, I want you here, a lot of people, and get the opportunity to give me a Tom Brady like roast. Before we get to closing thoughts, anything else you want to mention before we say sayonara?
Tristan Taylor. And still, anyone that wants a shot at the CCW title, come get it. My next step in YBW. 17 is a great number to me, but there is also one that has kind of eluded me that some people that have done with their own feds that I look up to. They've accomplished, but I haven't. And sooner or later, it will be number 8. And if you pay attention to history, there's another world championship that has eluded me for 3 years, and I am tired that it is not within my possession, and I will gun back for it. Number 20 on the radar, and I think that's all I got for the moment. Oh, tune in for Rise of Champions.
August 25th. I'm going to put
August
that link up.
25th, airing at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this event will not glitch. I will redo the event 7 times.
And I know
make
you
sure it does
tagged
not
me,
glitch.
but tag me anyway. I also want to offer it. Anything YBW, I want to offer it before we sign off. If you want anything Instagram related, you're welcome to put me on as a collaborator, and I will share any YBW post. I offer it. The NEW guys, I do it with them. Jake with UWA has done it. I'm sure you've seen that. I share Jake's post. ROEW, I do that with them also. So anybody, Ox McCoy, I do it with. Backyard Havoc, I do it with. So I will share anything YBW related. So Justin Parsley, I share his post. And yes, I will message you, Abraham, when we're off the air. I promise you on that. Okay, I think I've got the point. I think we've put you here more. This has been a Jack Delta-like show for sure. We've definitely run the gauntlet. I don't have much of a voice left. James is going to be
God
here.
love you.
Isaiah Rage is going to be here. I think, James, maybe you want to go in before Isaiah, because Isaiah is going to be a show like yours. He's going to have a lot to say, and I could probably do an hour or so with James. But until then, let me give you the floor. Let me give you some closing thoughts. Obviously, what a show, what a performance you had. You definitely lived up to being the headline. You definitely had some on you and a little bit of a bashing with Blaze, but the truth is there's so much to talk about, but we still got to give you the floor. Fire away. And I don't know, whatever else you want.
Thanks. It is an honor to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I love coming on this platform. I love making people laugh. I love entertaining everyone, even if certain people in the community are total sleazeballs. But, I do like what I do. I like inspiring people. I'm always going to be honest and transparent, regardless if I care about certain people and their existence or not. I am always going to be me. I'm not going to apologize for it. And those who see that side of me for the negative parts, sucks to be you. But for those of you who see the positive and the legitimate side of what comes out of it, more power to you. Thanks for putting up with me. But I am always going to be honest. I'm always going to be me. And I'm always going to be the headline, trailblazing throughout this community that I helped build, Aaron Blaze. And I have a lot of people to thank, even for the ups and even for the downs. But I do this because there's already enough problems in the world. There's already enough bullshit in the world. There's already enough racism. There's already enough shit with politics. Like we're killing each other every day. Let's try and uplift each other. Let's try to have some kind of mutual understanding to one another, and let's not be two-faced, backstabbing liars about it. Let's just be authentic and let's work with one another, and don't do what the Xavier Thorns, Dalton Skulls, Sam Reeves, Anthony Aries, all of them do, and that's flip things out of proportion and start things that they can't finish. Let's be like the Deltas. Let's be like the Flames. Let's be like the Me's. Be like the UWAs, ROEWs, and let's come together and show that this isn't just a hobby. This is a way of life that matters, touches people's hearts, and we continue to make fucking history.
I couldn't have said it any better. We definitely want to do that each and every day on this platform. And in closing thoughts, YBW's YouTube page, August 25th, rise to the occasion. Please go out and support YBW. They just came off one of the more successful shows in recent memory. Aaron is on Instagram and Threads, _Aaron Blaze, YouTube Aaron Blaze. Hit the sub buttons for him there. Also, amen to that. Backyard Wrestling is the house that Aaron Blaze built. Well, he definitely did that for sure, because that's why he's a Hall of Famer. That's also why he's a 17-time world champion, and he's welcomed here anytime. I'm proud to call him a friend. I'm proud to call UWA, ROEW a friend, YBW a friend, and anybody that wants to be a friend of Aaron Blaze is a friend of my friend, and I want to make sure we support those that have carried the flag for the All Wrestling Matters movement. And Aaron Blaze has definitely done that, and I can't wait to see what he does in so many other great places. My friend, congratulations on all of the success. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do on August 25th. I'm looking forward to see what these other places might be, whether it's in Bremen, Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Unleashed. You're going to be in the ring, I know, with Tristan Taylor.
Get ready, Tristan. Get ready.
I know Tristan's going to be with this, and my buddy Il Drago, another guy that I'd love to see you one day match up with. He's one of the up-and-comers in the IMF. He has a match with Joe Stone of DKW. They hit like, 1,000+ views. He's one of my favorites. He's here Thursday night, and thank you so much. Congratulations, and we'll see you soon. I have no doubt. Probably in the next month, I would imagine. You got to be here every month. We need you here every month at this point.
We can make it happen now. We can make it happen.
No, you need to be here every month at this point. I need to have prime time every month. You and James are here every month. That's good enough. The rest of it will sort itself out. But that was, ladies and gentlemen, the 17-time world champion, Aaron Blaze, who also announced that he has bought Chaos Championship Wrestling. That's going to resume under the YBW banner in September. If you also haven't heard, Aaron Blaze is going to be defending his Heritage Championship at Unleashed against none other than Tristan Taylor, who is my counterpart in the PWF. He's the owner of the PWF Mid-South. I'm the owner of the regular PWF. Well, 1/3 of the owners there. And Aaron Blaze is also going to be potentially in other places in the future. We talked about the Backyard Havoc in Bremen, Ohio. That's YBW's sub button. Hit it for them. They're at 1,500 subs. When they get there, they'll get a certificate of proclamation. And Aaron has also got a lot of other things that you need to see for. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. If you're on Sportswire Radio, going back to your regularly scheduled programming, and I'll be here twice tomorrow, Isaiah Rage, 9:30, and to be announced with James Taylor, the ROEW owner. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.